Some announcements. The warrant for fall special town meeting is expected to close at the next select board meeting, which is August 21st. Article requests are due to the town clerk's office on or before Monday, August 18th. And you can find the warrant article request forms online or contact the town clerk if you need help with that. August 7th is National Purple Heart Day. There's a posting from the town email blast about that today, as well as content on the town webpage. Call for volunteers. There's a complete list of current openings online on the volunteer tab. There's also a list in the select board meeting packet tonight, so check that out. Under regular business, item A is public comment. Anybody wishing to make a public comment? Just state your name and address and stand up here.
Cindy Sherburne, 14 Sullivan's Court. Paul Sibigny recommended that I come because you have a warrant tonight or whatever about the signage of the pond. But my question is more, is it possible that the town could consider testing the pond regularly? I understand it's not a recreational swimming area, but a lot of dogs swim there, horses go in, people kayak, people fish. With the increased number of 90-degree days that we have now, there's an increased risk for algal blooms. But that is dangerous, obviously, for dogs and horses and people and everybody. And the town doesn't currently test. So I was just wondering if there's a possibility that in the future, the town could consider testing so that either we can be confident in going in the, having the dogs and horses and people fishing confident going in the water, or knowing that it's dangerous and they shouldn't be in the water. That was really Paul suggested that I come because you're thinking about the signage that I should bring up that issue as well.
Okay, thanks.
And the only comment, could I just make one comment on the signage? I have noticed that when you put signs up, they put it at the middle and the lower parking lot, but there's never anything about the pond at the top parking lot. I do park at the top and then go all the way down to the pond. So I was wondering if you could consider putting the signage at that top parking lot as well.
By the fields?
All the way up at the
Yeah.
fields. Because I'm sure I'm not the only one that parks up there, but ends up at the pond. So if there is an issue, I wouldn't know unless I go, like currently now, I go to the middle parking lot to look at the board to see if there's any issues before I go then park at the top and go down.
So where in the lot do you think would be the best place to put it? Because people go from there in different ways.
Well, there's just like there's the
Kiosk.
the kiosk thing in the middle and the bottom, there's one at the top too.
So there would be good.
So if it was at that, that way people could know they could check there and would know whether or not, the pond is safe or not, but just knowing from personal experience, I've gone down to the pond in the past years, only knowing because I'd seen like online, but I'd never seen a sign at the top, parking area,
Okay, great.
so.
So just by top, are you referring to up at the pipe stage?
Where the-
Here in the,
Yeah, where the fields are, where
Up
the
here.
ball field.
got it, okay, good,
yeah.
all right,
Cause
good.
there's like 3 areas to park,
Sure,
but they
yeah,
never post anything on that top field for anything that has to do with the pond.
got
When they said there's a kiosk literally right where you're at.
it, yeah,
There
right,
is one,
right, yep,
yeah, just outside of where the recycling area is.
yep,
That's a good suggestion.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one that, goes from there all the way down to the pond, but doesn't, I don't go by any of the other kiosks to get down to the pond.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let's see, town manager updates.
all right, so first one, we got the certification of free cash and water retained earnings. I talked with Jenny a little bit about this, we haven't had time to go through it in detail, but I wanted to share that those numbers are official. I have to assume we're one of the first in the Commonwealth to get those certified, and I definitely want to publicly recognize our finance department and in particular Jenny for getting free cash and retained earnings certified in the month of July for the prior fiscal year is astounding. And you probably recall from years ago, we would sometimes be up against the fall town meeting deadline to get free cash certified because you can't appropriate it until it's certified. And there have been times it's gone into October and it's been like within a week or two of town meeting. So it's really testament to the finance department really running a tight ship. So I just want to congratulate her. Obviously, the free cash balance went up quite a bit. There's a combination of factors there, both turnbacks, revenues above budgeted, as well as a couple of instances of grant funds that were received for work done in FY 24, but the state reimbursement didn't come in until 25, so that accounts for some of that. But at a future meeting, we can give a more detailed breakdown of why it was such a significant jump, because I know that's obviously a topic of interest. Next item, Coffin Street culverts. It was a pre-construction meeting yesterday morning with Butch and Christine, Paul, myself, and with the design engineer, Rich Williams, and they're moving forward. I don't know exactly if they're gonna start, next week but it's gonna be in August. It's on track. So Butch has got that covered. He's gonna be doing the work primarily in-house with some support from a contractor for, I think some maybe excavation or laying the pipe, but also Williams and Sturgis will be providing construction administration to the extent it's needed. It's obviously a much smaller, simpler project than some of the others, but some of the conditions, for instance, of the Concom order of conditions require observation at certain stages. Paul had offered to do that in the absence of the conservation agent. He reached out to Molly, and Molly was very appreciative of that offer, and so I think we're in good shape for that project. Next item, Page Pipe State Crosswalk. When we put this on the agenda Tuesday, my hope was that we would be announcing a start date of next week. Unfortunately, we have had setback with the contractor, and it looks like it's going to be later than that. Well, it will be later than that. It will not be next week. So we have a meeting set up with them on Monday, along with the design engineer TEC, to really pin down exactly when can that start, because that's a material issue for us and has been right along. So Church and Prospect water main replacements. I know I sent out some information earlier this week, or maybe it was late last week. There's been a lot of work done on this since. Long story short, the project went over cost. It appears there was not proper notice to the Board of Water Commissioners of the cost overrun, so they are, only finding out about the cost overrun after the cost was already incurred. That's obviously not how it's supposed to go, and so we're looking closely at the contract for the construction engineer retained by the Water Commission, whose part of their responsibility is to provide regular reporting to the client, which is the Board of Water Commissioners. And also with this project in particular, as you know, we went out to long-term borrowing just this May, and Jenny and I put in a lot of effort in, especially in January, February, really nailing down the exact cost, because once you go to long-term borrowing, you can't undo that. So that's we're quite frustrated that this cost overrun was not communicated timely. So we're working with town council and the water department and their engineer on how best to rectify that. This may lead to a warrant article in the fall town meeting. That's going to be up to the Water Commission. They'll talk more about that Tuesday, but in the event they find that the expenses were legitimately incurred, even if it wasn't procedurally handled correctly, that's going to be up to them how to handle that. But we have worked with town council as well as with our financial advisor Hilltop. The borrowing authorization for this was much higher than the actual project cost. The voters approved borrowing authorization of 2.7 million. The cost was well under that. So if we'd known about this, and even as recently as like March, it really would not have been a problem. We just would have borrowed the greater amount. We have the borrowing authorization, but that article did not include transfer from available funds. It was purely borrowing. If it had that language of both, we could have, or the Water Commission could authorize payment of the amount direct from retained earnings. But because the warrant article didn't include that language, or the motion didn't include that language, they either have to borrow, which obviously they're not going to borrow $150,000, as far too small an amount, or pay it directly from retained earnings, which we believe would need a town meeting vote. So it's been a headache, it's taking time, and it's gonna take some time.
That's like 6, 8 months old money, I mean, right, the project was complete last fall.
No, it's the paving that drove the overruns, and the paving took place primarily in June, and it extended into July a little bit, but primarily in June. And the issue is the spec in the design contract called for 4-inch depth on the paving. The actual thickness of the pavement in some areas was 6 inches or more. And the direction was given to match the existing grade, which I think was the right decision from a project standpoint. But somehow it was not communicated that that was not going to be able to be absorbed within the budget. So there's a lot of fact finding going on.
So would that be a legitimate change order? I mean, I'm wondering if they were the low bid, is that delta with the next lowest bid have been reasonable or?
So the way Tom McInerney, our contracts attorney, described, he said it's a basically quantities, I forget the exact term, but basically the contract was not a lump sum contract, it was based on quantities and based on estimated quantities, and he said it's not uncommon at all for a project, like for a contract structured that way, that there would be a true up at the end, because it's based on, their number is based on estimated quantities, so the quantities might be somewhat higher or somewhat lower. And the billing is based on the actual quantities. The unit pricing did not change, so.
It's the same like with the police detail, when you level that out, it was way down because I had the job done quick, so.
Yeah,
I mean, it would be legitimate, but it's just timing is a little awkward.
Yeah.
yeah, and Tate and Howard did say they had verified all of the quantities of asphalt and materials. But we're kind of still in the thick of this.
Okay.
But when we get later to the discussion of potential town meeting articles, this is one that had not been on my list. In fact, I had put, turn back, rescind the borrowing authorization. That's not gonna be something we can do at this point. Next item, pickleball permitting. Concom had its second hearing Monday night. Wendy and I were both there for that, went very well. They responded favorably to the minor changes to the site plan that we had put together with Williams Asparagus. The next night, we had the continued public hearing with the planning board. That was the second session of their hearing. Monday night, it looked like Concom was really ready to close and vote. I asked that they not do that and that they keep their hearing open, knowing the planning board was still ongoing, just in case there were any further changes to the plan. So Tuesday night, we talked to the planning board. They had some, I think they responded pretty well to the changes, but they had some continuing questions, and so they did keep that hearing open till August 19th. And I'm really hoping that they will close the hearing and ideally vote the project that night. Concom, their next meeting is going to be August 25th, so best case scenario, we can get both of those decisions voted in the month of August, and then once any appeals period passes, we could go forward with the work to engage contractors to ideally get the base course of paving done this calendar year, so it could go over the winter, and we could do the top course and painting and striping in the spring.
Angus, is this camera okay? I mean, it's showing the window and,
Yeah, it seems that we've set it at a higher.
Okay.
Chief, do you want to just see if you can? We set it higher, and I would think it would have picked us up.
now it's just,
Okay,
Maybe it's my
yeah,
Magic
magic touch.
thank
There.
you.
Thanks. Good, much better. Thanks, Wendy.
Yeah.
Next item, just to keep you apprised, this is a pretty small dollar grant, but the town received from FEMA, the brick grant. And that was applied for, I can't remember, a year ago, but the scope is essentially to digitize the building department records. And to get those scanned into link to the permit link system, which is tied in with the town's GIS. That would, once complete, that would result in basically people being able to digitally access all of the permitting records on file with the building department for any particular property. So I do know there's some policy questions about redactions and things, so we'll get into that later on the agenda, but I just wanted to make the board aware that we had the kickoff meeting. Sam has done a terrific job both obtaining the grant, but also he's managing the grant in terms of the paperwork and reporting, so that's terrific to have his help with that. And then the only other update, I included this recent letter from the Attorney General. Tim Zeston, our counsel, did agree to this request for extension. He had been contacted and given about 36 hours to agree, so he reached out to me and I said, that's fine, just, you know, they need more time, so. That's for both the battery storage bylaw and the ADU bylaw amendments. The Attorney General asked for a extension on the 90-day period they have to review bylaws when, after town meetings adopt them.
All right, moving on to action items. Item A is a request for appointment of Royster Johnson as a part-time reserve police officer. We have a memo in the packet from Chief Dwyer.
Yeah, and I'm looking just for upwards of possibly a year. I'll reevaluate it at the end of the year. This is really to help us get through the summer with a lot of vacation time that's still being used. And with our officers still in the academy, so it's looking to give us a little bit of assistance primarily through the day shift. To assist us.
Any questions from the board, comments? So there will be a new offer letter going out for this different position.
Yep.
There's a motion,
Make the motion to appoint Royster Johnson as a part-time police officer for the chief's request.
Second.
any further discussion, all in favor? Aye. All right. Item B is a request for appointment of Officer Hayden Sanborn as police sergeant.
This is very exciting to me. Hayden came to us a little over 3 years ago, but he was not a stranger from law enforcement. Truly hit the ground running when he started working for us. He was an easy train. He was on the road as quick as humanly possible, and he started to really perform. He recently got the award for Mothers Against Drunk Driving for his outstanding enforcement of OUI and general safe driving practices within the Commonwealth. So this was a big deal for us and for Hayden and his family. He's been a field training officer for us. He's an amazing mentor. He's patient. I've learned a little bit of patience from him as well when we've had conversations, but just an outstanding officer, well deserving of this position, and truly the future of our department. I'm certainly not going to be here forever, but Hayden will be, and he is going to have a strong, powerful career with us.
Right? Any questions from the board? No?
The motion?
Sure.
The motion, promote Hayden Sanborn to the position of sergeant.
Second.
Is this a reappointment or is this a permanent change of position? You know, we reappoint every year.
Yeah, I think we still have to go through that exercise of reappointing every year. I think that ties back to Mass General Law.
Right.
But yeah, so the appointment would technically be through June 30th, but as I think you know, by this point, it's pretty much a pro forma exercise past then, the annual reappointments for. Actually, you know what? With the union contract, I think that's different.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, I think with the union contract, actually, I think that's different. So
So we don't need to amend the motion.
I do not think we need to put an end date. But yeah, that rings a bell because
Yeah.
Good, all right.
And he's scheduled for a swearing in, I believe, tomorrow.
great.
So that's great.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Give the authority here, shake. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Thank you. This is not here. Congratulations.
Oh, really?
It's that, pretty fun.
All right, next item is a request for appointment of Nate Pierce as associate member to the Mill Pond Committee. Don't see him here, but. But you had his application in the packet. He was actually at the last Mill Pond meeting, so he's an old Mill Pond Committee member.
There's got no skills and no expertise, it concerns me.
Really undersold himself.
But he's highly educated.
Thanks.
Yeah,
You're looking for a motion?
Yeah.
What's the term?
associates are 1 year, I believe.
I make a motion to appoint Nate Pierce to the Mill Pond Committee through June 30th of 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Amanda, did you happen to know, I mean, we appointed somebody else to the Mill Pond Committee, an associate member, did they ever come in and get sworn in? Was that when you were here? or was that before?
Remember, do you remember the name?
I don't
Began with
remember.
I, last name began with,
Yeah, it was in the.
I had asked.
Ayana?
Yeah,
She came in last Friday.
Yeah, I had asked,
Council too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, right, she got sworn in.
yeah, I had asked, you had mentioned that to me, I did ask Max, and then I just forgot to circle back with you.
Okay, would you send me your email address? I just want to connect her with our email on share. Great. Next item is request for approval of special event permits, item A, Apple Harvest Run, October 19th. 5.
Give me a call.
Sure. So, let's see. So we had some questions on the application before, so that's why it wasn't taken off the agenda. Yeah. Any follow-up?
I got questions.
Yeah.
The previous one had, we were looking for, alcohol too, that's not here, is that not part of it, is it coming later?
I'm not sure.
I believe that was part of it. I thought I had filled out all the applications for it. Should have been a 1-day license for it.
Yeah,
Nothing
there
here
was in
listed.
the prior packet, but there's. I'm just.
Nothing whatsoever here about it, that's why I was a little
Yeah.
concerned.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
I apologize. I thought I had filled all the.
Yeah, so-
I can certainly get it back to you.
So we're going through some change on the application itself, so it's
Okay.
possible that, I'm pretty sure it's not your.
Okay. I can circle back and I apologize. I'll get it back to you.
It's, but like Wendy said, we probably have it, it sounds like it was, because this had been put on an agenda a couple of meetings ago.
Yeah.
So it was probably in there, and then when you submitted the updated application, it probably, whoever put that in the packet probably didn't think to take the older 1-day liquor license and also put it into tonight's packet, so we probably have.
Yeah, I'll have a max on her.
Yeah,
So you submitted an updated application?
Yes, recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so that.
We did, yes.
Could happen.
Pre-event signage.
Yeah.
There's really none listed, talks about on the field of the street, but in advance of the event.
3 yard signs was what I believe we had planned
I
for.
mean, along on the route to notify residents that the race will be coming up that weekend, Chris.
Okay,
Yeah, so this is something, there have been prior road races where residents have been kind of blocked in the road and they've just asked to know in advance, so.
sure.
So they don't get all the emails and the.
And to be specific, there are the plastic signs are about that wide and that tall,
Yeah.
sit on the metal pins.
Sure.
That just says the date of the race and the time, approximately, just so people can plan around it. And we've asked people to put it out 3 days in advance.
Okay, no problem.
Wendy, I met with Butch Hills. We also talked about putting the electronic signboards on both sides of sort of the race course in advance, maybe 10 days ahead of time, just
Okay.
giving some advance notice to.
Yeah.
And the police details, it says an action incident event plan has been created, doesn't help me.
Yeah, we've been in touch, there's a ton of logistics that go on my end. He is gonna have details, he's already confirmed the numbers with me. We're gonna make sure he gets the cost ahead of time and is able to pay for it for us. Fire department ambulance is all in the queue to be assigned for that day. That event from a public safety standpoint, goes off quite well each and every year.
So it's not in the packet, that's. I think that's-
I can provide you an updated,
You've approved it.
I'll give you an approval, and the rest of it's gonna come a little later.
The last question would be, talks about parking in the upper and lower lots. It's legitimately, it's on Main Street too.
Yeah,
From the event, it's
corner,
cornered,
yeah.
so I assume there'll be an officer out there.
we put an officer at the end of Bachelor Street, we put signage, we close off the elderly
I
driveway.
mean, it's a big event.
It is, yeah.
It is.
Any questions, Ross? Okay. You good, Chris? So I did have a question on the insurance certificate. I don't see that in here. That could be,
It is.
well, it's not the way they usually look. It doesn't name West Newbury.
You got our name in it.
Yeah, it names I assume this is the PTA, 694 Main Street.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, does it need to name West Newbury? The town of West Newbury?
I can split it out, that's no problem.
Okay,
We want to approve it pending those two issues.
Yeah.
I'll make
so what, the signage and,
three issues, so I'll make a motion to approve the special permit for the Apple Harvest Road race pending, including pre-notification signage, approval of the police chief, and the insurance certificate updated to list the towns. Sure. So this does not approve, this is about the alcohol licensing, just to be sure.
okay,
Which that'll require detail as well.
okay.
We don't even have anything in front of us on this.
Right, yeah, so we'll pull what we have in your file, let you know, and, cause I suspect we probably have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I saw it.
and so, that can be put on the board's next agenda.
Very good.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Is that gonna put you in mind in terms of timing?
No, it should be okay. I mean, I think the biggest issue is the field busy otherwise that day, because they're starting, the PTO would like to just market the event. They're
Yeah,
just
so-
really kind of like save the day on it.
Yeah, so, in our packet is an email from the Park and Rec, chair, saying those are available.
Okay, perfect. Fantastic. That's great, thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, the next item is, Tour de Greenbelt, September 20th, 2025. Yeah, so there's no COI with this packet. Has it been received? Do you know, Amanda?
Looks like we have Greenbelt on.
I submitted it. There should be, I can submit it again. I can send it right now.
I'm just going by the letter. It says that one was requested and, hasn't been received yet. So it's just following, that letter was.
Okay, I think I sent it to Max, I think yesterday or the day before, but I can definitely send it again. I do have a copy of it.
No.
If you sent it, Max would have, if it came in yesterday, it wouldn't have made the packet, so that might be.
Oh, probably, that's exactly, yeah, I didn't get it till, I think yesterday, or really late the night before. So,
Okay. Let's see, I had a couple questions, Chris.
Same comment again, pre-event signage.
Yeah.
Talks about a sign, if needed, will be put up on Friday, but like, I think it's good to have it 3 or 4 days in advance. Probably more than one.
So did you understand that comment?
absolutely, that's not
Okay.
a problem at all. I'm not sure if we'll even need it. It will just be like a little tiny arrow, but absolutely, we could definitely do that 3 or 4 days in advance.
So what we're looking for is a sign stating the date and time of the road race so that residents in that can be notified.
All
So
right.
that's something different than what you described in your
Okay.
application.
Does it have to be like a lawn sign kind of thing?
That's what we typically have, the plastic that
Excellent.
slides on the metal frame.
Fabulous. Absolutely. Absolutely, we can do that.
Okay, and 3 days in advance and then removed with your other signage.
Absolutely.
Okay, on the police detail. It says Chief Dwyer was contacted, no concerns.
Yep, we just let him know what was happening and just to let him know, because but we did not request a police detail. We didn't we haven't needed it in the past.
the short distance that it travels through.
Yeah.
It's spread out at that
Okay.
time.
The comment in the application says is awaiting this application. I just didn't understand what that meant.
That's a really good question. Oh, I had not passed in the permit request yet at the time that I sent in the letter.
Okay, great. And then the signatures from the chief, I can see a tiny little post-it here on my copy. Have you signed it, or?
I'll double check.
I think that was like signed here, but it's not signed.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I corresponded with him, but I'll make sure
Okay.
it gets official.
great. Any other questions on this? All right, motion.
Okay, motion approved the Toby Greenbelt, special event permit. Pending on confirmation of the insurance certificate has been received by Max.
Second.
I did just have one other question, chief, on the incident action plan. Under additional notes, it says, please provide approximate timeline ETA for the rest of your portion. Have
They
you
did.
received that?
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Uh,
Aye. Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So, just want to let you know, Amanda's been hard at work on updating and approving the special event application, so at our next meeting, that would be an agenda item just to share what she's done. It's really good, I think we'll address a lot of these. The next item is vote to delegate authority for oversight of approved budgeted expenses for the opioid abatement actions. So this is something we just neglected to do at the last meeting when we voted on the budget. My thought it should be the select board signing off since we are responsible for the funds, but wanted to get your input on that.
That's the proper process. I mean, it sounds reasonable to me. If somebody else looking to do it, or
She had suggested the board of health. That was in the proposal that was submitted.
should they care if it's a select board? That's, what process would Jenny recommend? Would be my question.
I guess, I would favor the board, so the select board having oversight, because under the, terms of the opioid settlements, it is under your authority, but you can delegate that. My only concern about signing off on invoices is, I would hate to see a situation where a cost was incurred and then presented for payment, and this board says, we didn't think that was an appropriate cost. That creates a real pickle, so it's important that whomever is signing the invoices is also involved in the purchasing, and we're talking about small dollars here, obviously. So I would worry a little bit about the board having to like pre-approve every little expense. So I don't know if you want to delegate it either to me, or I don't know, Dwyer, if you want, but someone or a member of the board, but just logistically, if the board itself has to act on every
We
invoice.
don't sign invoices. I mean,
No, exactly. So I think like the board should oversee it, but
Okay, Jen.
administratively, it could be the town accountant.
That's, I would go with Jenny if I had a choice.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, she and I are already signing every warrant, and she's specifically reviewing every expense to make sure it is appropriate, legal, and in accordance with the appropriation. So she's already doing that. And I'm reviewing kind of after her for, make sure anything, for my own thing.
But she's the one who knows the funds are there, so it seems like the appropriate party to.
If she could, she's already reviewing every penny the town spends, so that's not really adding anything.
You got the answer already, that's.
So would that include whether that was part of the approved budget?
Well, that's what she's looking at, is what was the initial appropriation.
Not dollars, but what it.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good solution if you don't think she would. So we could.
I don't think she would mind, because she's already doing that, but, yeah, I just think it should be an individual rather than a public body,
Yeah.
whoever that is.
Maybe on the motion, Chris.
Yeah, I think, we delegate the town account to be the entity to sign up for the invoices for the opioid fund.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, the next item is an update regarding the July 30th meeting with Mass DOT and the city of Haverhill. This is on the Rocks Village Bridge signage.
This is another one where it was on last time, but, it hadn't occurred to me when I was working with Wendy on the agenda that it, you know, I had listed it as an update. But embedded within that was also the action item of this third sign, the one that you see up on the screen here. Which had been omitted when the board had approved the other two signs, a couple of meetings ago, so. Just out of an abundance of caution, even though the board 2 weeks ago expressed support for this sign, we didn't want to ask you to vote because it wasn't listed as an action item. So that specifically is what's before you tonight is this sign shown here.
No, we endorsed it, but we don't.
You endorsed it, yeah, I just, due to some of the neighborhood dynamics, I just didn't want anyone crying foul that, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't an action item, so.
So I'll make a motion to endorse,
to approve.
approve the, installation of the third sign for the Rocks Village Bridge as presented.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Now, you said you had a meeting?
We did, yeah, we did.
Very interesting, that sign.
Yeah, so the state DOT reached out to Mayor Barrett and we met with her remotely last Wednesday. Butch and I were part of that. And she had a couple of staff with her, and it was basically to more formally roll out this idea of it's not really a striker bar. What's the right term? Or is it a striker bar?
Oh, crash bar.
Trash bar, that's the word.
Sounds better than a strike.
Yeah, so it was basically to sound that out and for the first time kind of formally introduce that as an idea. And they explained that was something that the town of West Newbury was kind of aligned with DOT in terms of our interest in seeing that happen. But this was the first time the mayor and her team were kind of formally briefed on it. Their reaction was initially favorable. Obviously, there's a lot of details that would need to be worked out, in particular with the Rocks Village Historic District Commission does have jurisdiction. Mass Historic Commission has jurisdiction as well. So DOT is very sensitive to that and attuned to, you know, they really want to do something. What they want to do, whatever they need to do to get the endorsement of the Rocks Village Historic District Commission, because that's going to make the process with Mass Historic Commission a lot smoother. So Mayor Barrett had a suggestion just based on her own, read of kind of the situation. I didn't think to put up a street view, but if you're approaching the bridge from the Haverhill side, you may recall there's basically chain link fence on both sides, on the side. So apparently that's been something the neighborhood hasn't really loved aesthetically. So she suggested if they'd be able to incorporate some more aesthetic fencing instead of the existing chain link. This is kind of lateral to the road. She thought that would be a sweetener that would help gain their approval and would beautify the area.
Yeah.
DOT seemed to think that was a very welcome suggestion. The other thing that was talked about was just the color or design of this crash bar. And Mayor Barrett suggested that to the extent it could kind of replicate the existing color of the bridge and kind of seem to blend with the historic nature, which I think is aligned with what we all would want anyway. So basically the next steps are DOT is working to engage a surveyor because they've got to scope out where the foundations would be on each side of the road, on both sides of the bridge, and engage a designer. And it sounds like, that's all going to take some time. They estimated it would probably be close to the end of the calendar year before there'd be circulation of design plans, and that would be initially circulated for comment before anything's formalized. So it's going to take a while,
Yeah.
but we've known that. It was a very positive meeting.
That's great. I mean, that would be a permanent solution.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. On the street sign, chief, you would not ticket anybody that took a right that was over height, right? Took a right onto River Road.
No, the only concern would be weight.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I would prefer to have them violate the heavy vehicle exclusion on River Road than drive into the bridge.
Give them a start talking.
Agreed.
Thank
That
you.
discretion we have.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's good news. I thought there would be resistance from here.
Yeah, I mean, she was, you know, she was very clear that it's not her authority,
Yeah.
but she gave, I think, some good advice.
Maybe they could come up with something that's historically, I don't know.
Yeah, I like just do a profile of the bridge, painted the same color on a couple of,
Yeah,
look pretty nice.
all right. Item G is a review and approval of a proposed new select board policy, regarding the delegated use of signature stamps. Want to talk about this, Amanda?
Sure, I
Thank you, Chief.
Easy.
put this quick proposal together. I think it would create a little bit of efficiency. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look through the policy, if you have any questions or if there's anything that's concerning.
So this is
About
to
it?
avoid chasing us down for signatures 3 weeks after vote.
Yes, or, for example, we could get more correspondence out, that water commissioner letter, we could have had that out a couple days ago. We can't expect you guys to be here all the time, you have day jobs, you have families, it's a lot of stuff to sign off on.
Somebody
Yeah.
noticed that? I feel like Wendy doesn't have a day job sometimes.
There's, and it will also help staff a lot, there's a lot of different tiny little things that we can tie up, just make things so much more efficient for us. So the stamps are very simple, I've always had one as the city or town clerk. For birth certificates, for vital records, anything like that, and I just always have my staff, when they stamp my name, they just do their initials in the corner. So if for some reason there's an issue on a document or something, and I get a call about it, I can track who's doing it. It wouldn't be for anything legally binding that requires a wet signature. Hopefully, we wouldn't even have to use them that much moving forward with a special event permit process, if we get that down the line and kind of get some of those things out of your hands. You don't have to use it that much, but it would be really for correspondence, full hearings. Things of that nature. And then ask your permission first.
Sorry, just one thing, yeah, I've had a signature stamp for, since 2001, in town offices, very typical. The only real times that we use it, is, when I receive payroll. Rebecca does an initial screening and all of the direct reports that I oversee, if it's a routine timesheet with their routine hours, she'll use my signature stamp with my permission. And then she'll bring it to my attention if there's overtime or if there's anything unusual for me to personally review, but that's been an enormous time savings for me with payroll. So it's never been codified in a policy, but I think this is, would be good to get that formalized.
We use it for the board of registrars already, we have stamps for them that's used in every single community. And although we've never had, I don't think anywhere where we've ever had a policy for signature stamps, we've always had, at least for the board of registrars, some sort of letter or email that all of them have signed that have given us the authority to use it for things of that nature.
And so is there any kind of like log sheet for when the stamp is used, or just the initials of the person that's using it?
I was gonna request a log.
A log, or we would be sending it, like it would be after the meeting, like say we had a meeting today and there were 3 or 4 things that you needed me to send a letter out to the water commissioner. The water commission, there were 2 permits that needed to be signed off. The next day, I would stamp all those documents and send you an email, hi, we used your stamp on this, or we're about to use your stamp on the things that you signed off on last night, is it okay? Things like that.
But I think a log would be good too, that way if anybody in the public questions, it's a legit.
We
I
can
think
do that as
a log,
well.
I like the idea of a
Yeah.
log better than, email, because that's kind of
So then we don't.
potentially
Yeah.
email clutter, yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea,
I got you.
and that's easy to administer.
I have 2 other comments.
Yeah.
Number 1, it won't be used for any legally binding documents or for any contracts.
Yeah,
No.
But it doesn't exclude it, but it
Yeah.
doesn't say you can, I just would,
yeah,
That
we
wording
could
should be in there
definitely add
specifically.
that, yeah.
and it says, the policy applies to designated members of the town clerk's office. I think it should be one, I think it should be the town clerk and the executive assistant. Because members is multiple, who else would it be?
Would be max, maybe, like all the special event permits, just stamping on, mailing them, like a lot of administrative.
I think whatever it's gonna be should be identified whether it's town clerk and assistant town clerk or whatever, not just members, that's open-ended. I know it's the only two of you.
Did you see the form that accompanied it? There was a form that went with it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, and that we would have to fill one of those out. Yes, yeah. So no one would be able to, it wouldn't just be,
That's the extent of it, you three,
yeah,
you and Max and.
and we'd have a paper on file in each one of our records, and each form, it would be for each of you. And say the next election comes in May, that new member at that point would sign one of the forms and they would give us permission until the end of their term. Or, and they would say, Max can use it, Amanda can use it, they didn't want the assistant to use it. Me and your form is however you wanna fill it out.
What do we think?
I like it.
You okay
I
with
think
it?
the log is a good thing.
I'm fine if it specifically excludes legal and or contracts and there's a law.
So how would
Yeah.
you define legal? I mean, is there what's legally binding? I mean, anything?
I think there's a section in there for wet signature, says anything that's a legal document that requires a wet signature, we would not. use.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, like,
Yeah.
what requires a wet signature, like a contract,
I think,
Same as a legal contract, but I
yeah.
didn't define it, but.
Yeah. Just for my own understanding, what would be illegal or.
Approval of agreement.
I think something like a liquor license or the used car permits that they do annually, I would think those would be original signatures.
I'm wondering what our license like.
Like one day liquor
I
license.
think one day you can use a stamp on for
That's
one
on
day,
the
but
book.
we can check, I'll get a list tomorrow and we'll.
Okay.
All right, do we wanna-
Big deal, just
Yeah,
general.
but do we wanna kind of make those adjustments and bring it back?
I don't think so. I mean, how do you guys? Are you okay voting on this?
Maybe we can make the adjustments afterwards and then you can authorize us to use your signature stamp to sign up the.
I can make a motion to add those three items in.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to approve the select board policy on the delegated use of signature stamps with three modifications. It will specifically exclude anything legal or contracts. There'll be a log kept when it is used and of the member who is initial the signature. And the three people who will have the authority to use this will be the town clerk, the assistant town clerk, and the town manager's executive assistant.
So,
Further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, Rebecca, for putting this together.
Yep.
Rebecca,
As
I mean,
That's okay. Okay, how works. So I can I'll circulate the form once it's all amended for each one of you to sign, and then we'll have a card stop for you to sign, and
okay,
so we'll cut off for you.
all right, great. All right, the next item, let's see. Request for authorization to install public health signage at Mill Pond. So those signs have already gone up, right, the
we
temporary?
put up temporary signs last week, yep.
So I was wondering whether we should just, in terms of the content of the sign, strike regularly. I don't know, in light of the public comment, we may want to discuss this further, but, and insert water in front of the quality. So I would just say it's not
Oh,
posted for water
okay, yeah.
quality.
I'll give my hard copy. So you're suggesting maybe just say it's simply saying it's not tested for
Yeah,
water.
for water, quality, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, from time to time, before the meeting started, I explained back in 2020, there had been concern about a cyanobacteria. And I had at that time, worked with Paul and we'd gotten testing done. That was like a one-time thing. It's definitely not part of the routine. It's not a service we provide at this point. So I think that's a great suggestion to put that on the table for discussion at a future meeting.
So
as to
maybe
whether-
we should hold off finalizing the sign language until we.
That would be, if you think that might be in flux, that would be fine. I think we did what we needed to do with the temporary signage. We just obviously didn't wanna go ahead and order aluminum signs or we certainly wouldn't post that without the board's approval.
Yeah, I guess.
What is the cost when they do a test, roughly?
It's not that much,
No.
it's in the low hundreds, it's more the you know, there is a staff time impact because there's a chain of custody and it's sent to a lab and. But Paul could tell you in detail. I have records from 2020 because I was pretty involved with that and I worked with the Mill Pond Committee at the time to, you know, we paid the expense out of their budget back. They had a bigger budget back then. But I would have some of that in my, and Paul could explain that.
Yeah, it's not so much the cost for me, it's by doing this, we're assuming responsibility for.
Well, there's a lot, that's my
Yeah.
next question, how frequently did you do
Yeah,
it too?
so I mean, you could be committing to, and the fact that it's not a swimming area gives me pause, I mean, we're testing water quality for dogs, right?
Well, now you make it into a swimming area so that
Right.
people get swimming, so life, it starts to grow again.
Yeah, the swimming areas, Paul helped me understand this back when it came up in 2020. I had no prior experience with that and. You know, the DEP, you know, there's strict regulation on the swimming area, frequency and type of testing and all of that, and that's part of why. Paul was like, this is not, you know, a regulated area. So I think, you know, is there some. Like middle grounds, is there a need for that? Is there a benefit or interest in that? And is there a downside to that? Because you then, if you're not complying with the strict testing. Are you better off not doing anything unless there is a visible concern like a cyanobacteria?
But if there's a visible concern, don't let your dog go in the pond, I mean,
Yeah.
that's pretty straightforward.
Mhm.
We should discuss it, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be great to have Paul part of the discussion. He's super knowledgeable about this stuff.
Possibly have it done under animal control, that way it's not a swimming for people, it's just potentially for animals and. I mean, because once you start down the path, you know people don't want to use it as a beach and.
Yeah, I think on principle to assume responsibility for testing and. That is like asserting that the water quality is safe, which,
I'm not sure I want to go down the path.
well, yeah, so that would mean like more testing than once a season, whatever. it means.
Probably way once, probably once a week, that's what I'm saying, so it's $200 a week, you look at 800 a month. It's not insignificant, and then staff time, so you
Right.
gotta get the water, get the report,
Right.
post a sign, safe or something.
Well, this whole chain of custody, I think like he's gotta transport it and hand it to, like, it's like a pretty strict thing, was my recollection of it. It's not
Paper trail.
rocket science, it's just, but it is something that as a recurring task, it would definitely implicate.
But as Wendy's getting at, it creates a significant liability for the town, once you imply that it's safe.
Mhm.
So, another thing on the sign I would like to request, it says the pond is not, on both the words not, I think it should be in all caps.
Mhm.
Because otherwise people might not see it clearly,
Yep,
which generally happens.
so do we wanna make these changes on the temporary signs? And hold off ordering permanent until we have a discussion, or do you wanna just leave these up for now until we meet?
It would be permanent, then we can have a discussion, I still, I would not be much in favor of. The town going down this path to do this,
Mhm.
and if you want to, still have the discussion.
I think we should invite them up on video.
Just put up the permanent sign, it's not,
No, it's purchasing them now, it's not putting them up.
I know there's not huge money, I know that.
Yeah, what do you think, Angus?
I think if there's, I mean, I feel like. The immediate interest in terms of that Facebook request, that's, I think, been satisfied with temporary signage. I think if there's any consideration of potentially rethinking what's the town's policy, I would suggest hold off because it's, you know, yeah, ordering pay, it's, you know, we don't wanna burn money on aluminum signs that we don't end up installing or that we install for one season and then change for next spring. I just assume, you know, stick with the laminated signs that are out there until, there's some more discussion.
So do we wanna make those small changes in language for the laminated signs? That's not a huge deal, right?
No, that's no problem, we have
Is
that.
that good?
What would the aluminum signs cost us? Not a ton of money,
No, it's
a
not.
couple $100.
Yeah, a couple $100.
What, you wanna do that?
I would, yeah, why hesitate?
Okay. I guess we're gonna repost the laminated ones anyway, there's no additional staff time, right?
Well, maybe you know how these signs go up with their post, which puts them up with bolts or whatever.
Do you know how these were installed, Angus? It's on it, might be.
No, I'm not sure. Paul went out and put them out on Thursday.
I would just do it. I think to go down the path of testing the water, certifying that it's Says, okay, then the first dog will get sick and then you're gonna have a problem. And then people will be in there and then we have more problems.
All right, I would propose leaving the signs that are there up until we discuss in 2 weeks, because I don't wanna make a decision when it hasn't been posted on the agenda. Are you okay with that? 'Cause-
Signs already up, so you're not really making a decision, you're just reinforcing the decisions made. Okay, I'll wait, that's fine.
yeah. Okay. Ross, does that sound?
Yeah.
Okay,
All right, so we'll add this for the 8/21,
yeah,
and we can let Mill Pond Committee know that that'll be discussed.
You said it's not for an action, it's under action items though. Request for authorization to install public health signs in no more.
all right, I guess I was thinking in response to the resident, public input. Was asking for water quality testing.
You could make a motion to continue this to the next meeting. Peter, action.
It's part of the agenda for the next meeting, for that, that's what you wanna do, I'll go either way, but
So you think this is legitimately covered under the item that's on here?
request for authorization. To install public health signs in no pond,
Okay,
it's under an action item.
all right,
I mean, if we vote a temporary, what's the difference of voting a woman, that's just spending money,
mhm,
the wording is not changing. Well, the concept is not changing.
right, but we've been requested to discuss this at a future meeting about whether we should.
I'm happy to wait on the signs.
Yeah,
until
let's
the-
do that, I think, and, in fairness to the person that made the public comment and to engage in a pond committee. It seems unlikely we will wanna change our opinion, but. I think we should give people an opportunity to talk.
We wanna have animal control officer be part of that conversation.
And
You know, and we're adding language that says if you see visible contaminant. No way, dogs. I mean, obviously dog going in that pond and because of water, as a matter of course, whether or not there's a sign, but maybe it does need to be. Clarified,
But then they're gonna say, it looks clean to me and my dog is sick, once you start qualifying it, the responsibility is gonna come back to the town.
All right,
Now, the person who made the request, are they a resident? Oh,
this person here,
no, the one in the packet.
Oh, I don't know.
Elizabeth Sawicki.
Yes, gotta mention it, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to.
No, we can't, it's in the packet.
all right, so let's. So the question is whether to order permanent signs or just leave the temporary. You feel strongly about it, Chris?
I do, but I can give in at any time. I said, we can put, I'll hold off till the next meeting, that's fine,
All right,
don't change my opinion then.
okay, all right. Great, so do we need a vote? Do we, authorize the installation of public health signage in the pond?
Temporary.
Okay. Would you make
I'm
a
gonna
motion?
make a motion to install temporary signage at Mill Pond on paper. With the modifications, the word not in caps and to add water in front of quality.
And omit regularly.
Regular.
I have a clarity question.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're voting on. So this is a request to authorize and install signage.
It's already,
Is this the temporary signage?
Yeah,
Or
it's just
the-
already installed, so this is really a formality, just to,
Okay,
confirm we agree with it.
yeah,
okay, all in favor, do we already vote? Aye,
Yeah, thanks.
Ross, were you the second?
Yeah.
all right. Next item is assignment of select board members as board committee and commission liaisons. So this is something we did last year, given that it could be a slide in our meeting next week with the chairs, I'm going to just go through this. So just to clarify, Ross, for you, this doesn't mean you have to go to every meeting, it's just that you are the point of contact for that committee. It's a good idea to subscribe to their agendas, so you can see what they're discussing and reach out to the chair. Or, the chair can reach out to you if you've any.
I have a different approach on this.
What's your approach?
I sent them an email and said, hey, I've been appointed to be a liaison, if there's any questions, concerns, or assistance, please let me know.
Yeah.
I don't generally go to these meetings, I go to, certain specific.
Right,
and I
but you
don't-
could get their agendas just to see what they're discussing, right? If you chose,
So
so it's up to you how engaged you wanna be. Is
I
that
just,
fair?
Yeah, we just nominate Wendy to do them all. We don't have to vote about them. She'll go to everyone.
All right,
We can play a game.
all right, do you wanna go through this or not? I'm not doing it
Not
all.
especially.
So which ones do you wanna do, or do you wanna just go down the line? I think this is important, just to acknowledge that we are interested in the work of these.
So to be clear, once we go through this, my next request will be if somebody in the town hall can send me the emails for the chair or the head of each one of these committees.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, one other thing, I think this part of where this kind of came from, and I think it is a helpful idea, is I'd like to keep my time and staff time focused to the maximum extent possible on the things the board's already endorsed as priorities or action items. I'm well aware that some of the board's commissions, committees have things they'd like to see the town put more resources toward. I would like to see more of those things go through the elected board members. So we can focus on our day-to-day work, but that way, if there's a committee who says, hey, we think you should be putting more attention toward issue X, I would love to have that go to a board member, not to me, because I feel that's a more of a political or a policy conversation. So that was part of the idea, is that the committees are given a liaison that they can have an open line of communication with, and you know, then the board provides me direction, so, and I provide staff direction.
Yes. Do you have a hard copy of this? Or does somebody
I do.
that can write down?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so I will do the trust and so on.
I'm gonna say, I'll do the ones I already got. Go on, get real simple, if somebody wants them.
All right. What about the ones that Rick did? Do we,
Well, let's go through and then you can.
all right, so Board of Fire Engineers, are any of these ones you're interested in, Ross?
I mean, I don't know hardly anything about most of these, but I can take, I can take the fire engineers,
Okay,
yeah, or keep it, I should say.
yeah, all right, Cable Advisory Committee is defunct. CIC maybe head the same way, so let's not assign anybody to that.
I would just respectfully point out that under the existing bylaw, it does provide that there is a board, select board member on the CIC,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. So
You don't need to make the appointment tonight, but
Yeah.
just to be aware.
So we don't need a liaison.
No, there will be a member.
Yeah, okay, so that can be deferred. How about CCRC? Chris Wilder.
I think so.
You think you're very disappointed with me instead of that?
Well, I
You
think.
think they want me?
I don't mind keeping it though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. All right, CPC, I will do it because I'm on it. I'll also do the Concom, setting their meetings anyway. Council on Aging, Chris, you good with that?
Yeah.
Cultural Council. Energy and Sustainability, Ross, any interest in that? Willingness to be the point person? You can say no. No. Yeah, thanks. Finance, you still wanna do that, Chris? Okay. Historic District Commission.
Yeah, Harbor.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I can do that for. What I want. Let's see. So you wanna keep the same ones, Chris?
Why don't you tell me, you want to take the historic commission?
No. No. So the next one that is not Chris or I, is zoning board of appeals.
What about Historic District Commission?
These are all gonna stay the same.
Oh, stay the same. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
CBA, Ross?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Board of Health. Want to take that, Chris?
Good.
Okay. Water commissions, what about that? It's an important one.
I can keep that,
Okay.
unless somebody else would.
No, that'd be great if you could do that, but. And then the rest are already spoken for. All right, very good, thank you.
And again, when the contact information gets sent out, maybe just do a group email, everybody gets. Put contact on the side, that way Ross will get his too.
And this is something I think we should go over at the chairs meeting next week, and so that'll also be a way to introduce the concept and. All right, moving on to general discussion, item A is the open space and recreation plan, so we just want,
What about minutes?
oh, I'm sorry.
Do we need a vote on I, because that's an action item? to approve the list.
I mean, we did the action, so I guess it's not always.
We have to take this.
I'll make a-
Robert's rules would say.
I'll make a motion to approve the select board liaisons as we just populated on chart.
You know, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for keeping us on track.
I thought she said we need a vote, no, we don't need another vote.
All right, minutes. What about the first set? These did not go by you, Chris. I hope you're okay with that. Just trying to save you work.
Nothing there for me.
Because Angus wrote them and I edited them, so I
Okay, good, perfect.
got good for you. Did you see anything in there that?
Okay, it's once I'll go review any showing.
So just for the future, do you still want to review minutes that come from Angus or I?
It's up to you.
I don't do many, this was just, as you know, this was.
If they tell you that, I'm not gonna question, I just make a motion to approve those minutes, so we get the date.
But you haven't read them yet, so.
It's okay.
All right, Ross, any questions from you on that? All right, go ahead.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of June 27th as submitted.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the next, let's see, on page 2 of 3, item I, the Mass DOT request. Second sentence is hopes had been raised that electronic boarding system. I would just say the original focus was on an electronic boarding system.
You don't like hope?
No. And then I would strike that that option was not being pursued. I think it's fine, because then the next sentence starts instead, so.
So I got the first one, what was the next one?
After prevent truck strikes, just strike, but that option was not being pursued this time, that can just be deleted.
Got it.
On the general discussion items on item A. I would like to put some more detail in this because the Affordable Housing Trust had specific reasons for not supporting this. It is clear, I mean, it is true that the value has not been demonstrated, but if I can just send to you, Amanda, or to Max, just a few sentences about why.
Max.
Okay. I'll do that. And then I had an edit on C. Which I will also send to Max. So instead of Reed said she discussed, I would say she and the Conservation Commission Chair had discussed the need for consistent trail management. Just to put some more context behind that. And then the last sentence, the meeting on July 31st was for MBTA, not for the trail management framework, so we'll just strike that sentence. I think she's got put a wrong section. And that's all I had. So those two things I'll follow up with language from Max.
The motion approved the minutes of July 10th with the modifications coming forth.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the next item under discussion is the open space plan. So the updated action plan has to be received by the state by September 30th. The open space committee has received input from Parks and Rec, and they have an action plan that's drafted. So that needs to be distributed to us for review. Is anything you want to add on that about the process?
So we've been in correspondence with the state agency that oversees this and, so the regs provide to approve for 10 years, they approve for 7, or for extension. It seems like the state is trying to make it as streamlined as possible. And the indication they've provided us is that they're not gonna be looking for all of the trappings of a new plan with all the support letters and all of that. Which is good, because I think it allows us to really just focus on updating the action plan. That's all that needs to be submitted to them by September 30th. But I think it's gonna be important that go in with a vote of the select board as the chief elected official. So we wanna make sure that it's in circulation. You guys have a chance to review that, ask questions, and that may end up being a multi-meeting thing to make sure that before it's submitted to the state at the end of September, it reflects the town's policy intent. And then within the action plan, it designates responsible parties for different actions. And it's gonna be important to make sure that, if it's saying that, you know, a certain office or a certain committee is responsible for something, that office or that committee knows that, and, you know, before it's submitted to the state, that we have some, you know, legitimacy to the implementation plan. And it not become one of these where people learn after the fact that they're committed to do something when they may or may not have been part of, you know, even knowing about that. So I think we have a good amount of time. We have till the end of next month, but we do need to keep it moving. So I did get a draft from the Open Space Committee Chair on Tuesday. We didn't put it in tonight because we hadn't even had a chance to look at it. We didn't want to get it out in circulation without some kind of review. So I think, what would be the next step, Wendy, in terms of getting that into broader circulation, including for the board?
So I think when we talked about it earlier this week, my initial thought was to send it to everybody named, and then, you know, we could get their feedback, but I think Angus, you had suggested maybe we look at it first.
I'd like to look through it. I haven't even. I
Okay,
haven't even
but not the
so
board necessarily.
I'd be happy to circulate it and get comments. Yeah, just as so long as everyone knows it's a working draft and.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the more review, the better.
Yeah. So if we did that, then maybe 2 meetings from now, we could review it. Because the 2 weeks won't be enough for most boards and committees to.
Right,
to get
right.
it.
Yeah, I anticipate this being on probably both September agendas for this board.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. So, I mean, a lot of people are named in this. Riding and Driving Club, W2, I mean, a lot of non-town entities, so, would comments just be requested to be sent to the select board, or?
Well, as you know, under the town bylaws, it does vest the responsibility with the open space committee to maintain the open space and rec plan.
Right.
So I think it is appropriate for comments to go there, but I think it's also important that those comments be, you know, copied to the select board, so you guys are aware and can, you know, make your own determination as to whether you feel.
There's 2 meetings in September, we only have one. We
Uh,
have another one in August, we have next week, which is a dedicated one, but then we have the 21st of August, and the next one is September 18th, and that's it for September. And I'm probably to blame for that, because I'm not available the first 2 weeks.
I have something on my calendar for September 4th, that I know you're out of town, Chris, was that not? I thought that was.
I never heard the date, I don't know if Ross will maybe have, but again, feel free to go ahead in my absence.
I don't have September. Yet.
All right, we'll look, I think it would be a tall order to get through that month with just one meeting.
I have it in my calendar.
Is you? Okay.
One thing that has come up more recently, and at this point, I probably will not attend. There is a Mass Municipal Human Resources, their fall conference is out in Springfield on the 18th and 19th. They haven't published the agenda yet. Rebecca and I are both waiting for that to make preliminary. It doesn't look like something that's gonna be worthwhile, but if the agenda comes out and it's highly relevant, that might be something I would want to go to. So I guess let's circle back to the dates, but I assume we're gonna need to have 2 meetings in September. I have it on my calendar for the 4th and the 18th, but.
All right, so I'm not clear on how these comments are gonna work then. So we're asking the open space committee to distribute this to everybody named in the action plan and request comments to themselves with a copy to the select board.
You could ask them to compile their responses and provide them to at once, okay, a bunch of them.
I guess it depends how hands-on you wanna, if you want, you know.
The action plan goal, they're very lofty and it's
Yeah.
committing the town to a lot of stuff, so I do feel like it needs some pretty close review.
Yeah, I think so too, yeah,
But, and they only meet once a month, so
right. Right.
I'm not sure that is a viable way to handle it.
Well, you know, now that they've submitted the draft, you know, to you, yeah, I think that would be good to then, because we obviously, you know, we're there every day, so we're in a better position to send things out and process comments, so we could certainly send it around. Why don't we send it initially to you all?
Okay,
Um. Do you want this board to like have any edits before it's further distributed, or I don't know if you've had a chance to review it or not?
I was involved, or I was there when they
Okay.
were drafting it, so I'm pretty.
Okay.
But somehow, maybe,
Well, why don't you document is this?
it's like 4 pages, it's not,
So,
okay. So. Distribute to you guys,
yeah, I'll send it around to all three of you tonight or in the morning,
okay,
and then and I'll take a look at it myself in the next couple of days.
You were involved in the process.
mhm,
I'll just send to everybody who's listed then.
okay.
I mean, I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah, I don't think we would take stuff off until that particular committee can weigh in, but we might choose to eliminate things that have been assigned to do. And that, I don't know if you looked at the document, the formatting is, needs some work.
Yeah, that's easy.
Okay.
That's not hard to do at all.
All right. Are you looking something up?
Well, I'm looking at it on my phone. Yeah, it's 4 pages, Chris, but it's a dense 4 pages. It's 4 pages of a list
It's
of,
outing me.
I mean, just, I don't know, just at a glance, it looks like 60 or 70 action items. So it's a lot, you know, it's a lot to absorb.
But again, you're up against it on timeframe already,
Yeah,
so why not
yeah.
send it to everybody right now?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I would do that.
So maybe we could just ask for comments sent to the open space chair and the.
I think that's great. Yeah, yeah.
Who's the open space chair?
Carol Dufford. All right, next item is the recent water task force. Did you get any feedback or inside story on that, how that discussion went, or was it pretty?
Not
I
since-
watch it and I.
Yeah, not since the vote. So after this was introduced with the council for a first reading on their meeting on July 14th. And I had heard from the city short time after that to make me aware of that. I met in person with the city engineer. We talked through, it really feels like there is a good opportunity for us to engage with the city, as you know, we've been trying to do for years, and haven't really been met halfway, I think is a fair way to put it. And it sounds like the council is getting much more focused on water. And I gather there was some discussion at their meeting on the 14th of whether to make West Newbury formally a part of this.
Really?
Yeah, but the council didn't, maybe had questions as to whether that was appropriate, since we're not obviously Newburyport residents, but I gather, and I haven't gone back and watched the tape or anything, but I understand that. I'm told that at the meeting, there was an overt acknowledgement that West Newbury is an important partner and needs to be part of the conversation. Once this was approved at their meeting just on Monday night, I did hear from Mayor Reardon. And he basically, was kind of saying, essentially, please remind me where things left off in our prior discussion. So I sent him a quick note and just refreshed his memory of the letter that we sent back in June of 2023, and that we'd taken time leading up to that, working with the select board and the water commission to come up with basically our objectives for a new IMA. And the mayor's email, by the way, specifically referenced an IMA, like remind me where we left things on the idea of a water IMA. So that's gaining a higher profile in Newburyport. That's, I think, clearly an opportunity. I think, and I had suggested this in my email back to Mayor Reardon, I think it would be good for us as a community to recirculate that 3-page document among this board and the water commission to reaffirm, is this an accurate kind of statement of what the town's needs, wants, interests would be, and they can kind of either validate that or update that. And then continue to urge the city to really come up, or maybe this task to this ad hoc committee they've set up, maybe is gonna be the point of entry. It would be good to have, West Newbury be able to speak in a cohesive way. That's representative of both the Water Commission and the Select Board, because as you know, you both would have to be party to an IMA because of, different authorities that each of you have under different laws. So I did reach out to Ivrea, she's our special counsel for water issues. I shared this with her just to kind of loop her in, but we didn't ask her to do anything specific on it. We have, Wendy and I talked with her as recently as maybe 6 weeks ago, 6 or 8 weeks ago, and I think they have indicated that if we wanted them to prepare an initial draft IMA, they would do that. I think at that point, we felt that's probably a little premature, but I'm not sure, you know. But this is something, this should be really one of our top 3 to 5 policy issues for FY 26, I would suggest.
Yeah, I think water was one of the 5.
Yeah.
Fall into that.
Yeah.
So do you think a good first step is to circulate that document again?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Ross, if you would have even seen that, because you weren't on the board back then.
No.
And
Okay.
Chris, I can't remember,
That's, we've seen it before.
you've seen it, but yeah, so.
So maybe have that on next agenda, just to,
Yeah.
that's open session, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. If you're meeting with Jack anyway, maybe sharing that with him.
I will, I definitely will.
Well, that's positive.
Yeah, I think it's hopeful, and we do know there are some specific things that the city is going to need, and it can be helpful or unhelpful, and that's gonna have a lot to do with whether there's a deal.
Right. All right, the next item is review of proposed schedule and costs for the MVP action grant scope. So there was no schedule. We had Agnes forwarded the revised scope to you both and some preliminary costs. The consultant that did this work for us really feels that we should engage a consultant that we would plan to work with on this project and have them put some numbers on this, some actual numbers instead of her effort to kind of estimate based on a percentage. I did, Chris, ask her about doing the whole road versus just the 3 focus areas, and her feeling was that could be premature because the survey, unless you're gonna do the work within 3 years or near term, the survey would probably have to be redone anyway, because the shoreline is eroding. So,
Yeah, but even the established property bounds, I thought that was there.
I don't think that,
But they won't change once they get established.
no, but you'll have to redo the actual contours of it. I mean, that was her response, so, any thoughts? I mean, she did, looks like take some of the other public relations items out, which I assume we're fine with.
One just brief commentary, I met with Christine Wallace last week before we received this, and she observed that in the roughly 9.5-month scope for the prior MVP grant, there were no fewer than 9 public events, and there was actually planning for 12 public events, 3 of which had been canceled. There was one sidewalk that it was on a 100-degree day, so that was canceled. The kayak trip was canceled because of lack of signups. And there was a third planning forward event that ended up getting snowed. I think there was a snowstorm, so, but as she was going back through her records and kind of reminding herself of that period of time, she felt it was very clear that just the sheer volume of events and all the planning and communication that went into that was a major driver of her time during the prior grant, which I think is obvious, but I just wanted to share that she kind of put some numbers to it.
So is she interested in the reduced scope?
With Christine?
Yeah.
She's very interested in being part of the conversation, and I did send this over to her. We haven't had a chance to meet to talk it over, because it just came in late Tuesday.
So what would you think about asking her to circle back to some of the consultants she talked to before and have them look at it and get a number in terms of cost? I mean, I think we're gonna have to be able to put cost to whatever, if we're gonna propose an alternate scope.
Right,
So the consultant you hired has not had enough confidence in her.
Well, these are just like back of the envelope
I know
calculations.
that.
What she's saying is and she also said that some of the people, some of the other applicants actually hired a consultant as part of it and proposed a specific consultant in their grant application. So Christine did do this as part of the original application. She reached out to 4 consultants and got numbers from them. Horsley Witten did was just say it would be half the cost of doing the entire road. I think which is reasonable, but it's not, an actual number. What do you think, Angus?
I'd be a little concerned about contacting consultants to ask them to provide estimates on spec, because obviously we don't have the grant yet, so they already kind of extended themselves in the spring and made some time for us, and in some cases, but I think pretty significant time toward helping us formulate the cost estimates. If we were to contact them again, and then potentially, for a scope that hasn't yet been awarded, for a grant that hasn't been awarded, and if the grant's awarded, that we're gonna try to rescope. I don't wanna burn bridges, and I know how busy all the consultants are, so if we were to contact them and say, oh, can you help us with numbers on this, and then it could be a couple of days or a week or 2 weeks later that we get the grant, and then we'd be going back to them again in the not too distant future. I just don't wanna take advantage of people's time, but maybe I'm too cautious on that.
So would there be time for us to do that after, if we are awarded the grant and?
Well, what we've envisioned is that if we get the grant, that we would issue a very simple purchasing document it could be 2 pages to say, we'd like to invite you to give us a proposal, and then clip the approved grant to it. And then basically I think we would send it to the same firms that we contacted in the spring, each of whom we had said we would invite to bid on it. And I think interview all of them, because they're all highly qualified. And then just make a decision based on who we feel is most responsive to the town's needs, including the inability to meet the project timeline. So I think we would be going through a pretty hasty process to get someone selected, if we get the grant.
Look, I guess Ellie's point was that these numbers will have to be considered along with the scope by the state before we get the grants.
Right.
Kind of in a tough place right now.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of the bigger challenges with this grant, is the fact that they require so much specificity on the cost per task, and then they hold you to that. And it's very, very difficult for a municipality to come up with good numbers without having the consultant involved. But having a consultant involved on the front end, they're putting in a huge amount of time.
Especially at these numbers too, these are big tasks, they're not insignificant.
Yeah, and it's not something that they can just in 2 or 3 hours like rough out. It takes significant time, because typically, because of the scope, some firms are big enough that they offer all these services in-house, but many of the firms, it would be a team where there'd be a prime consultant with subcontractors, so they're not just figuring their own numbers, they're figuring their subcon. It's a big effort for them to put together those proposals. And I think the way the grant is designed, it does favor communities who have that relationship already cemented.
Yeah.
And I think there's a couple of reasons, at least in my view, why we didn't do that this time. That was done for the prior grant, where the consultant team had been pre-selected. That was a process that really town staff didn't have any involvement with. So that was kind of part of the whole deal, was the team. I personally felt like, if we're gonna get another one of these grants, or we're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars, I felt it's appropriate to have more of a competitive bid process. And I was not comfortable with just arbitrarily pre-selecting someone. So that was one reason. Then I think the other is, because of the timing where we went kind of fairly quickly from finishing the prior grant to applying for this new grant. And we didn't really have a clear, very clear sense of scope until kind of the end stages of finalizing the grant. And now even after that, we're still refining that. It's difficult to engage someone when you don't know exactly what you're hiring them to do, so.
Well, I mean, maybe I should just push back a little bit. I mean, was the intent, was to have Horsley Witten help us with the scope and then put a cost to it. So if we're paying them, then
Yeah.
it should be fine. I mean,
Yeah, I think they'd be able to do it. I do think, the amount that we authorized for this work was a low amount. So it may be a matter of just circling back to Ellie and saying, hey, we can free up another
whatever.
$2,000 or something to justify a bigger investment of their time, because what they had provided here was done in pretty short money.
Yeah, and I think it's probably more a matter of available time than
Yeah.
money, but.
Yeah,
All right. So does that sound okay if I try to get her to, or somebody in her firm to do it for pay rather than asking? So,
Basically, we'll tighten up these numbers.
yeah, put some real numbers instead of just a multiplier. I mean, it may turn out
I
to.
thought that's what we were looking for in the beginning, though. It seemed to have gone off track of it. No?
Well, first we have to revise the scope, so that's where we're at now, but yeah.
But revising the scope was in tandem with the number, it's dollar driven, that was the objective.
Well, I think the change in course was to narrow it to 3 areas, and then the scope was built from there. But the cost and schedule is a pretty important part of this, so.
What is the status of the grant? Because it was supposed to be awarded in June, but still.
So I did ask her that, she asked around, and I do remember what she said, I guess I forwarded it to you, and I'm not,
Basically, no one knows anything.
well, no, it's a little bit more, yeah, let me look, I'll find it. All right, she asked around, it sounds like they have their selections, but they're waiting for the state to tell them how much money they have to assign that in the recommended reports. So it could be soon, but not really clear. I guess essentially that's no.
Well, but then, no, that's definitely more nuanced than what I recall, but yeah.
All right, so I'll circle back with her and see if we can. Some more details, what I would like to involve Christine and, going forward, what do you think is, or maybe we can talk offline about that.
Yeah, no, I definitely wanna, get her kind of fully back engaged.
Yeah.
And I also, it's a couple of weeks away, but I will be out of state the week of August 25th. I'm out on vacation that week, so I definitely wanna make sure that if something like happens, we're gonna need to move quickly, so I wanna make sure Christine's kind of fully engaged.
Mhm. So maybe setting up a Zoom with Christine and Ellie
I think that'd be great.
and one or both of us, maybe that's the next step. Okay. We good on that, Chris?
So if we are, if there are requests to view this updated draft.
Yeah, so
I mean, it obviously doesn't reflect anyone's endorsement, it's just a, continuing working draft, so we haven't. Other than sending it to Christine, I haven't circulated it, but if we do have questions that come in on that,
are you guys both good with that?
Yeah,
Because
as long as it says working drafts on it.
Yeah. So not the revised, the red line, just the clean copy.
okay, yeah.
That's going to CCRC. They would say.
Yeah, well, if we're, if there's questions that come in, yeah.
If we're gonna formally distribute it to them, I think there should be some clarity on whether we're accepting comments or whether we're looking for input. I mean, I don't think we are at this point, are we?
My understanding from the prior discussion was that the select board is really trying to get to where it's got a position on a revised scope, at which point there'd be, engagement with the, committee to review that.
Do you feel like we're at that point? I mean, I'm pretty happy with the scope the way it is. Are you ready to share it and perhaps suggest a joint meeting or just share it and request comments? Any thoughts?
I thought the intent was to have the select board. The way it was scoped out, it wasn't supposed to be a consultation, it was,
Okay.
that's what we can discuss from the beginning of this. Reject the grant or go this path, so. Up to you, I mean,
Do you see any issue with sharing it with?
well, no issue with sharing, but how
Okay.
much feedback or input are you looking
Well,
for?
that's what I'm asking.
Probably not a bad idea, it just, it's gonna get interesting.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it probably makes sense to share it, but. Maybe with the caveat that we're not really looking to modify the scope of work from what we had it.
Okay, so why don't I just draft an email and send it to Liz saying that, is that good?
Let's go with it.
Angus, any concerns about that?
No, I think that's a great approach.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll just copy Christine on it.
great.
Okay. All right, next item is the library working group recommendation. So what do y'all think?
Before we get to that, is it accurate that the Board of Library Trustees is anticipated to put in an article request on this basis? Is that kind of the path, or is that still not known?
It's not known to me.
Okay, okay,
It was listed in the warrant article, right, you have it listed there.
with a question mark, because when I was putting that together, I wasn't,
I mean, I would
Totally.
assume that that's the next step.
I would assume so as well.
Yeah,
Yeah. Even though Wendy and I have each gone to all the meetings, they're still not totally clear
On,
on the library working group.
in what regard?
Well, like,
like was a job.
yeah, like exactly who's kind of driving the request for funding? Is it the library board? Is it a joint effort?
I'm sure it's the library board.
I think it has, to me, and I said this, I think at the last working group meeting, I think it really has everything to do with where the anticipated funding is coming from, both for the study and for a potential capital project. And whichever entity or entities are going to be asked to pay those costs really need to be the drivers on the front end as well. So if this is something that's going to be proposed for funding from library trust funds, that's one thing, but if it's something that's gonna be proposed for funding from town general funds, then I think both this board and the finance committee are.
Have they indicated their expectation as to what that is?
Well, last year there was discussion of a 50-50 split. At that time, there was
For the feasibility. study.
for the feasibility study, and that was, I think, at the time that the scope was envisioned to include both the library and the town hall. You may have wondered why there were those couple of memos from Sam and Corinne. That was partly because over the course of the working group, it seemed to be clear that the library, the town hall was not gonna be a viable option for expansion of programming space. And so those memos were there to basically document why the working group felt that way, because we know that the first question the public will have as this gains a higher profile is, well, can't you just use the town hall? And so we wanted to have some documentation that kind of show why that's not, or at least part of the working group perceived as a very good idea. So if the scope for the feasibility is really solely focused on the library, I would think that 50-50 idea would be reconsidered.
Mhm.
So we're talking 50-50 just on the feasibility,
Correct.
because this is not an insignificant construction project.
No.
No, and they
So-
don't have enough money in the trust to pay for it.
Oh, sure they don't, it's,
So it's colossal,
Yeah,
it is, so I,
75 to 125. capacity room.
That's just one of the rooms, yeah, so.
All right, do you
Not
wanna
to-
talk about
Yeah, sorry.
the individual items or? Well, how do you wanna discuss
I looked
this?
at it, this totality, it's, I mean, this is a major project, do they need? Is it at demand? I know it's the cornerstone of the community, it says, but, that seems like an awfully aggressive project from where they currently are.
And it's not just it appears to be like a complete renovation, because they're talking about the existing, redesigning the existing spaces as well. Didn't I read somewhere, maybe in the minutes, that one of the objectives that, of the feasibility study was reconfiguring existing spaces? But I don't see that in the scope of work. For the feasibility study, it looked like that.
It does say reconfigure. The assessment allowed the town to identify viable options to reconfigure or expand current facility. So that is intended to be part of it, but it's hard to see how all of these things could be fit into a reconfigured current space.
Yeah, it seems outside of that line to be predominantly referring to a gigantic expansion.
You know,
And I had a similar, yeah, so one of the things, it shared some statistics about how much usage it gets in comparison to other libraries, which we seem to be, towards the top of that usage, but I guess I would still be interested in like actual numbers to understand if this is more like a sectional interest or how broad.
within West Newbury.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of other towns use our library as well, which speaks to the desirability of it, but it's hard to assess out how many residents are using it. But, that's something we can ask for.
Notes from the meeting of the July 21st, you talk and you hit it pretty clearly. Needs versus wants. You know, it'd be nice to have all this stuff, but this is a real need for it, I guess. And as I'm finding out with my own current project, and Sam sort of spelled it out pretty well. Some of the unanticipated costs which they're gonna have to go to full fire protection, that's a huge number. Their electrical system is outdated, that's gonna be a massive number, and then my favorite is energy compliance. You know, my little ADU, that's added 30% to the cost, so.
Sam's memo was to do with town hall. Wasn't it?
um,
Oh, yeah, town hall building now, but it
I
seems
think
like.
he's also talking. Well, okay,
I think a lot of those same things would apply, but I.
well, they will, that's what I'm gonna.
Yeah,
That's why I assumed it was, but yeah, that's.
yeah, I think this memo was really intended to basically document kind of the implications of looking at the town hall are.
Well, I think that's a unimaginable project.
And that's kind of what we all felt anecdotally, and we said, why don't we have, Sam kind of document that, just so, because we do expect the first question the general public will have is, well, can't you just use the town hall? And so we wanted to have something in writing as to why that's not as simple as it might
I would
seem.
agree with that, but then those same issues are gonna hit you in the other building.
I think Sam would be very happy to do a similar memo for the library, and could probably do it in a half a day.
So what's the anticipated cost of a feasibility study?
We estimated 60 to 90,000, was that?
I think-
6 to 9 months.
Yeah, and we were guessing, part of this work is to come up with a scope that is kind of generally agreeable, so that could then be shopped around to get some back of the envelope numbers for purposes of a warrant article. So I think we had talked about that range that Wendy mentioned, but we don't have like prospective vendors validating that. It could be lower, I don't think it would be more than that. I think that's a pretty conservative range.
But the number of things we wanna see in a feasibility study will certainly drive the cost of it.
Yeah.
And somebody has to have thought about what the cost of the project will be. About 100,000. No. It's not 50 million, so somebody's got a number between the two. They had to consider that, they wouldn't be looking at this.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think they're, so.
I'd say that's a problem. I mean, you have to have it down to range, give me a $5 million range something.
Well, Wendy made the point, really, I think, very clearly at not just the last meeting, a number of these meetings, that, you know, there's feasibility in terms of constructability, but there's feasibility in terms of cost and what's the community's appetite for potentially a major capital project. And so, it's tough asking a architect or a designer to look at feasibility without giving them some parameters of, you know, what scale of project the community's envisioning there.
Well, that's my fear, is we're gonna have Page, we're gonna have Whittier. And you're gonna throw this in. Just because you're the first one in the door, doesn't necessarily mean you should have to win the priority for the funding. And this is gonna be a big number. And I think to move forward without even getting a range is kind of curious.
So. Where we go from here? So the working group is looking for comments. The intent would be to modify the scope perhaps before submitting a warrant article. Handle this.
What's the rationale for the town splitting the feasibility cost with the library?
Because initially we were considering the town hall. Including that feasibility study, so we thought since that's town owned, you know, that might be part of it, and there might be some benefit for the town to use that space for other new things. So that was the.
But now that that's out of it, I think it puts that back on the table as to
Yeah,
the funding to do this study.
right, just especially whereas it just seems like such a reach, it might be. Wow, that makes sense for them to mirror that themselves. But I agree, it's kind of hard to, I mean, you need a starting point, even if it's, I don't know what kind of spaces they need, they're obviously the experts, you know, as far as. Or at least they have the most visibility into what kind of spaces they think that they can use, but. You know, so to pare it back, it would be hard for me to do, but. It's a huge project.
I don't know if you picked up in the minutes, but I think it was the last meeting. A comment was made that all this is not even in their strategic plan, they have a 5-year strategic plan, they just passed, so. To me, that's problematic, you know, because that was formally passed as a requirement, and the library gets state funding and, but this is, you know, far above and beyond what they considered as their 5-year plan, so.
I mean, it's hard to even know if, you know, you know, the money aside, you know, if it's from a constructability standpoint, if it's even remotely feasible, you know. It's an old structure, right?
Yeah, the limited septic system,
Yeah, so.
no parking.
And what they're looking to construct with significant square footage, where did that go on? You know, it's just
It's gonna have to go up. In a historic district, so.
on an existing building that wasn't built. Good luck.
I mean, is it possible to do like, if this is just something. Almost akin to what we're doing with the MVP stuff, where we have somebody that, in a less rigorous way, just looks at it and says. Yeah, you know, this is feasible, when it appears feasible, or you're wasting the time, I don't know.
Again, it comes down to the comment Wendy made in the meeting, needs versus wants, and that's, they never defined it as a need. It's become a want, and. Yeah, I mean, it'd be beautiful to have this, but I think. I don't even know how this all occurs on that property, to be honest.
Right.
Just to build out the rooms they're talking, unless they use the existing space, which would still be expensive. That's a significant amount of square footage. And they're architects and they can tell you how many square feet you need for each person in each type of these spaces. You would get a real quick idea of the square footage, and then you can look at library construction costs. And somebody in the industry could give you a ballpark range pretty quickly, I would think. So to pursue this by putting too much money in without even having a reality check as to what this is gonna be, I think that should be on them, not the town.
Yeah,
Also been a lot of communities trying to pass libraries lately, so library board could ask them to present some research on how those votes have gone at town meeting, and the cost of those, and the two that were presented in Linfield, the first one was a 40-something million library.
Let's get a little less.
Yeah, the second one was a renovation of the current one, it was still 25 million because what everything triggered, so that was just a renovation. So you could look at some other communities that have tried to pass them recently to get some prices. Amesbury's library is in horrible repair, and they probably have a lot of. Well,
It's quaint.
it's quaint, yes, well, if you don't have a elevator, so in the children's section is up top, so if you're a handicapped child, you can't use the library, so they've done a lot of stuff too, so there are probably a lot of places that have stuff online or town meeting
I
information.
wonder if the consultant, that helped us with Page would do like a back of the napkin type. You know, I don't know, preliminary opinion of some sort,
In terms of cost or?
yeah, cost and feasibility.
I think you wanna find, there are firms that do specialize more in libraries, and
Okay,
educational facilities are significantly different.
okay,
You know, when I was, used to work with one firm, and they would pretty much do, they did, the libraries at Harvard, Wellesley College, and that was their thing, they just, they didn't do institutional or anything else, they just did libraries.
There is a little bit of backstory here that might be relevant, so this goes back to when Wayne was, working, it was probably like 2020 or 2021, it was a number of years ago. The library board at that time was interested in engaging an architect to basically come up with some concept plans, and this came to Wayne's attention, and he brought it to my attention, and we both agreed that we really ought to go through a designer selection process, even if it's just for like conceptual plans. Because what very often happens is you hire someone to do that, and that morphs into bigger project, and it could go from like a $10,000 fee, which was what the library board was anticipating at that time, to all of a sudden a 6-figure design contract or something. And so we got that angered the chair of the library board. He felt they should just be able to go hire whomever they wanted. So Wayne and I did get an opinion from town council at that time as to whether designer selection would apply for hiring an architect for essentially like a scoping exercise. And the advice was that legally you could, if it was below a certain price threshold, you could just simply hire someone, but he agreed, the town attorney agreed with the advice Wayne and I had given, which is that if there's an anticipation that this could turn into, or is likely to turn into a bigger design contract, and who you'd be engaging is who you'd probably be working with if it becomes a project, at which point procurement would apply. His town council's advice was that you would be well served to do kind of a designer selection process to hire someone for that initial scoping. That this goes back probably 4 or 5 years anyway, but I have emails on all of that. I wonder, based on what you're suggesting, might there be a path of engaging someone for these purposes of really like a lower intensity type analysis with an overt statement that if you take this work, you would not be considered if this does become a project, or something that's overt that says if you take this project, it would not preclude subsequent bidding, and you would not, something to avoid someone having an inside track, because that's what can happen that, I think is can be inappropriate, where someone's hired on an informal basis, and then the next thing you know, they have a large fee that really should have been bid out. And Wayne and I both wanted to avoid that situation of an implicit agreement with someone brought in for less than 10,000, that the next thing you know, there's like this assumption that you're gonna work with them, because why wouldn't you? So,
I think that's a good place to start, you just call it a low level analysis, and I think that's what's missing at this point.
mhm,
Just they, I don't know if they'll be able to wrap their heads around this cost,
mhm.
I think that's what they have to start with.
So we start with the cost feasibility, right, rather than the space feasibility.
I would, well, based on what they're looking at, yeah, I mean,
Okay. I think that's a good suggestion, and we know what we're talking about in terms of numbers. If this is a $50 million project, obviously, we're not doing it, so.
even if it's a 30 million, it's probably not, I mean, you
Yeah,
know.
so why do the feasibility study, right?
Right.
If in the end we want to build it. I think that's fair.
As Amanda said, I mean, you could look at other library projects, I don't know if the dodgeball is still out there anymore.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's the construction, they tell you so many square feet. Is the budget, is the nature of the work, you could get a ballpark off of that, somebody's gotta start looking that way. First. We said low level analysis, that sort of hit it,
Mhm.
hit the cards before the horse here.
So would that be a formal recommendation to the working group or on the select board, or do you want more time to think about this? What do you think, like, that should.
I guess my comment would be if they are looking for the town to contribute to this financially, I would not be interested at this point in a feasibility study.
Mhm. Until you have numbers for.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ross?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it.
Okay.
And I think that if they were to move, without our assistance on the feasibility, I mean, I think this benefits everybody, including them, because there's gonna be some serious sticker shock going on.
Yeah.
What if they, at the end of this feasibility study,
Mhm.
so it'd be better to know and to look before we leave and, incorporate that into the feasibility study if we decide to do that.
Mhm. Okay.
I mean, their option, if they want to fund the feasibility study, do their own thing, but just a suggestion.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're good. Okay.
And Chris, you're right about that, but I will say, we're on the record, I wanna make sure it's clear that you're absolutely right, they could fund that, it would still be, if it's above a certain dollar threshold, it would still be subject to the designer selection process, because that was a particular point of disagreement with the chair of the library board at that point. He
Yeah,
was-
that's a whole different issue. than the
Yeah,
fund.
yeah, he was asserting, and I was saying, yes, we totally understand those funds are under your authority, that is not the issue, but they are still public funds that are subject to procurement. Regardless of, so that it was a nuanced point, and I just want to make sure that's clear on the record, that they can definitely expend their funds to do a study, but it
They
doesn't.
still have to follow
They
the
still gotta
order
follow.
required.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, not even addressing that.
Yeah.
Okay. Next item, the process regarding redaction of residents' email.
I think we're into the Peach School.
Oh, my God. Sorry, I'm not good, but I am eating.
So, little background on this, Christine and I had a follow-up Zoom meeting with Gianna early last week, or maybe it's 2 weeks ago, and I think you guys are all aware that the school committee is gonna have on their agenda this coming Tuesday, discussion of the paid school conditions assessment. I'll be at that meeting. I think you're gonna be there too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know
right.
what time it is?
I think they start at 6, but I haven't checked, so I don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But obviously, if there's a statement of interest that's gonna be submitted next spring, that would need to go in via Pentucket. The town can't do that. And we thought it might be helpful to have Pentucket and the town have continuing access to Gianna to support that. Gianna advised that they felt that with the work that's already been done, that's going to check a lot of the boxes that would need to be checked in preparing a statement of interest, that a lot of the analysis they've done is gonna be really, we're kind of like quite a ways there. But, if we wanna have them involved with a periodic Zoom meeting, or if we need any written work product from them, it felt like it'd be to have a budget for that with just an hourly not to exceed. So they had put together that scope at my request, just so we would have something we could look at. I did, during the meeting, we also had this discussion of, what if something happens crazy, like the masonry that was falling off the side of the building, and we needed to engage them, and they engaged a structural engineer, we got that fixed, and the reason we were able to move so quickly on that a year or so ago was because of the ARPA funds. If we hadn't had ARPA, we would have had to go to reserve fund. So the second proposal, I have mixed feelings about. I don't know that we actually really need that, but I asked them to prepare it, so I wanted you to know I had invited them to prepare that. That was not an unsolicited proposal. I asked for that. But as I reviewed them, I feel the first one is probably a really good idea. We can talk about if that's something the board would want to sponsor as an article. The second one, I think if that situation came up, we could go to a reserve fund or potentially, use town building, operating budget. So I think the second one, we probably don't need, is my thought.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
We don't, I don't think we need the second one. I thought reserve fund transfer would be
Yeah,
the clean away.
yeah.
Okay. Ross, do you agree with that?
So basically, I wanted this on tonight, just so when 2 weeks from tonight, if there's an article request for this, that it's not, you're not hearing about it for the first time.
Okay. Item F, redaction of resident and non-residents, et cetera. So Amanda prepared this kind of summary of the other towns and how they handle it.
What don't?
Or don't.
They don't.
Is that surprising to you?
Yeah, it's amazing to me, yeah.
I mean, I think so. It looks like we go above and beyond by just redacting stuff from the select board packet. But you said they do redact financial information and social security. That's a requirement, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so well, social security, yeah, I don't know if we are not allowed to go on social.
Yeah,
security.
we are not.
Okay,
Yeah,
public
absolutely,
records law,
that is
so
exempt
that's an
from-
exemption,
yeah.
so the public records law was created with all of the X amount of exemptions
Mhm.
for protecting people.
Okay.
So you're saying you do redact all social security, all banking, checking,
That should be, if that's not,
Should be.
it should- that's what I would do,
It
I,
really shouldn't even be scanned in the first place.
No, it's
I
not.
would agree with
it's
that.
not necessary, I think back in the day with paper, I know when I first started in government with planning and zoning, the woman I worked with, she would scan and make copies of every single check, and we had 4 copies of checks laying around, but once the check's been deposited, there's no reason to keep up, like,
Driver's license numbers.
I don't even like taking photocopies.
I'm just
of
saying,
license.
these are things that should never be in the public record as far as.
The driver's license number is technically public record, driver's licenses are.
Didn't they used to be your social?
It used to be.
It's no longer,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
yes, so those I think are public record, but we don't even need to include them, if. We don't make copies of things and we don't add certain things, then it's not a public record and it doesn't need to be redacted,
See, the
so.
problem in the old days was when somebody came in and applied for something, it was paper and went in the file. And these bad actors around the world would have to come in and say, I'd like a copy of that, they have a right to it. But now when you consolidate all this into electronic files, it makes it very easy for people to come into the town's website and scan everybody. So I'm in favor of redacting, if I had my way, probably email addresses and phone numbers on applications to people. And again, I experienced it because my information was put out. I woke up one morning, had 900 and something junk emails in my account. So I knew there was a problem, and I backtracked to find out where it came from. I just hope other people don't end up with it, so. I don't know what level of redacting anybody else thinks is appropriate.
Are you talking about retroactive redacting or going?
That's almost impossible.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can start scanning to save, then maybe, yeah, but. Going forward, I think, policy on it should be. Pretty specific and wide.
So currently, in the select board packet, you are redacting.
Correct,
personal information, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times we'll get an application for somebody, we see it here, and then.
Yeah.
When you go online and look at it, then redact, I
Yeah.
think that's great, that's
Yeah.
the way it should be.
Yeah, I agree with you, yeah.
So,
Yeah, we did have a question, obviously, with regard to this brick grant and the digitization of all the building department records, that scope and budget does not provide for redactions, and there's a lot of information in those building permit files with might be either contractors or residents, contact information, so that's something I did talk to Sam about, and we basically acknowledged as kind of an open question, because if we go forward with this grant, that's gonna result in thousands of new records being accessible through the permit link system and the MyMap. I don't know, this might be a question for our website host. I know MyMap is synced up with Permit Link, and MyMap is hosted on our website. I don't think if you go to our Civic Plus website, search, I don't think it would pull records through there, if you see what I'm saying. But someone can find the records, but I don't think it'd be like that easy, I think they'd have to go to that.
Every single document.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if that mitigates that concern or not. We've also had some initial discussions at staff level as to whether some of the building permit application forms could have language added, reminding people that everything's a public record, and I think, was it you who suggested maybe on something like someone's phone number, they could not put it on the form, and it could be like a label put on the paper record or something,
Yeah.
but not part
The
of.
application didn't have a phone number and an email, the application just had everything else, and then on top of it was like a sticky note, you put your contact, so just the person in the office had it, and didn't, just scanned one thing, and didn't need to forget.
So Sam's looking to digitize old building permits.
Yeah.
How far back do they go?
Oh, I don't know how far
And
back
how
those
far
records
forward
go.
they go too?
Well, so we've had ever since roughly the COVID era, he's reported, like they've offered the online permitting for as long as he's been the building inspector, and I think longer. I think it was in place when Glenn Fossey was here. And Sam said that during COVID, it really shifted to where now all of the permitting goes through permanent. I don't think it's literally 100%, because he said he still from time to time has someone come in with a paper copy, but like 98% of what goes through.
Within permits, just that sensitive information is redacted?
No.
Well, what's.
No, no, because people are, contractors are having to upload their license is part of the required documentation that they need.
Well, that would be okay, the contractor's license. I understand.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the applicant's personal cell phone and email.
I don't believe that's redacted. Because I think they're filing it through Permit Link. So I think in order to do that, I think someone on staff would have to download it, redact it, and re-upload it. It would almost like make it worse than not having. But that's something we can, we had a meeting with Sam, Amanda and I did a week or so ago, just to kind of get her up to speed on the issue and the questions that have been raised. But I don't feel I have, and I don't think you have like a total understanding of like Permit Link and what's uploaded there. But I'm pretty certain there's nothing.
It's just like open. No, it'll probably just be like OpenGov, and you can go in and search an address, and then it will bring up an application, and
And the problem is, it's bad enough, the stuff that you can pull off the internet currently, it's only gonna get multiples worse with AI. So you have this database with permit link, you tell AI to go in and grab it and send an email to all these people, you got problems.
that's true, but I think a lot of communities are using online permitting, and I'm not hearing a lot of issues that are coming from, or the phishing or scamming and stuff. A lot of what people are doing is they're attacking staff emails, so they're going onto town websites and looking for individual staff emails to try to take stuff, and that's why a lot of places are moving towards removing the emails, and you have to
Click on the name.
click, and that's why you can see in the corner what kind of single email. That's what communities are finding, scammers are looking at the most.
And with the changing technology, AI would make it very easy to go in and go after all this information.
Yeah, it's very scary.
All right, so,
So I'm on the, my map right now, and I pulled up a public building, not a personal building, but. So right now, like I pulled up a public safety complex and there's this drop down of building permits and. All I'm seeing is very generic information. I'm not seeing.
You can't
anything.
click into those links?
No, none of these are linked, none of these are, so I guess, let's continue to talk to Sam about like, what is the. How in fact this work, like where's it
Are we able
housed?
to look at permit link right now?
I don't have a login, right, I don't have it, I don't know what my login is.
But I thought he said that
yeah.
Oh,
so like-
through the building department. Page.
and we should type in an address and see what it all shows.
Yeah.
You just do mine, do mine.
Let's see. I don't, there's a, maybe,
Yeah, that's me, yeah,
sort of testing.
not next one.
But I'm gonna let you expand really.
Well, but I'm not logged in, so I don't know if this is the full.
But this is what the public would be able to see. So,
I guess maybe we'll have Sam give us a more detailed orientation, because I haven't really tooled around on this at all.
But if that's all that it is showing, and we do get confirmation from him that it's just the basic, it doesn't have contact, just name and address, then.
If it's that simple, but I think it's
Good.
critical to protect people's personal information
Mhm.
from the town's perspective.
all right, so we're already doing more than all of the towns around us. Okay.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't do the right thing, just because they're
Right.
negligent doesn't make it.
Right, but I mean, in terms of select board packets, I think that's.
Well, the slide with yeah, it's great. I read in my note, I read all the town things that I wrote, and read, this is terrible. It really is, I just don't have.
All right, so assuming that's all that shows up in the building permit, are we okay leaving things as is? Or can we accept leaving things the way they are?
I'm not gonna assume it, you can verify it.
All right, good.
Yeah, we'll get some samples of some different types of permits, so we have so our office has a more complete.
All right,
Understanding of what information that provides and whether any of it would fall into those categories of.
Particularly if you have an
email.
account permit, how deep should you go to?
Right.
If you're logged in, so that's.
Yeah.
well, the only people that would have an account are employees.
No, I had one when I took a.
Oh, an applicant, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so anybody can set up an account with your permit link.
Yeah, do you think you would see other people's accounts or just your
I
own?
don't dig around and stuff, so I don't know.
Yeah. All right, I just want to avoid having this come back to multiple meetings.
I could make an account tomorrow and test it out in the office.
Okay.
We wanted to have something on tonight because with the brick grant, we knew, that kind of begs the question. And so we did some initial research and I want to thank Amanda for kind of making the time for that. But we haven't been able to do a deeper dive than that, so.
Good.
Just the single meeting with Sam. I had brought it up with him a couple of times earlier this spring when it came up and we can basically put a pin in it to revisit in the future, because he has some. Some concerns about.
Yeah.
Including whether retroactive or prospective, because retroactive would be.
Okay, good. Next item is MBTA zoning, so I just wanted to follow up on the meeting from last week, if there's any feedback or thoughts. One thing that I was thinking that would be good to do is some kind of survey. I mean, once we find out what which properties have passed pre-adoption review, perhaps getting people to vote on the one they would, prefer.
With people.
Anybody in town that wants to vote, some kind of electronic survey, I don't know. There's free ones, but we probably have to pay for something if it's more
And
than.
we could get like a 30-day license for Survey Monkey, because the free ones, you're often limited to like 100 responses, but. We could get an account and then cancel it after a month.
Just do an email blast or something.
Yeah, it's just to be able to compile survey, we wanna make sure it's screening out to get a response, and that it's a legitimate survey platform. Once we have our new webpage, that is the kind of thing we're gonna be able to do, but we're not gonna have that for a few months, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested, you know, if, say, if there are more than one parcel or locations approved, which one people like. I'm interested if they wanna see maps again, if they wanna see multiple parcels. I just think to try to flesh those things out before town meeting could be helpful, so that would guide our decision making in terms of what to put on the warrant. So, I don't know what you think about that. I mean, that's, or just have multiple public meetings, which is not ideal given our meeting schedule, either. So. Thoughts on that?
Let Ross go first.
Well, I think the surveys, I think it's a good idea. We might learn something, Rod might come back. You know, not really showing favors to any of the options, but we could learn something for sure.
I mean, I think the other piece of it is just continuing to engage the public in this, you know. I think a lot of people felt like they were really included in it, you know, up until now, so I think that's valuable in terms of town meeting. Or-
One thing that may be helpful, I like the idea of a survey, we can definitely look into the mechanics of what would be, I mean, Survey Monkey would be easy, but I know there's other platforms, so we can, look at what would be best suited, to our needs. Let's say hypothetically, we hear back from the state, and let's say all three of them are eligible, and, it might be good in the course of preparing a survey to put together kind of complete information on each of the options, because I think the slides were great, but obviously it's very high level.
Yeah.
And it might be good to actually put together more of like a narrative description of the pros and cons, or something that's more detailed.
Yeah,
And then maybe one of the questions on the survey would be, have you reviewed the information? And it could have a link to it, but that would kind of compel
That's what I was
people to
thinking
say,
about
like,
the survey.
is this an informed opinion, or is this a knee-jerk opinion?
right,
And
right.
people don't need to be truthful, but I think it would kind of, you know, put the onus to say, you know, have you done your homework, and,
Yeah,
but that also puts the onus on us to make it very easy for people to find that information.
right. And developing the survey to think through how questions are phrased and
Yeah.
asked.
Surveys could be dicey. Again, the first thought I had was exactly what Agnes is saying. A lot of people who just wanna say no, are just gonna go in and say, they studied it all, none of them good, but you know.
Yeah.
You're really not getting genuine feedback in surveys most anymore, not just here, but in most places. Whether it's products or gathering of information, it's very difficult, as you just said. We did the master plan, or the comprehensive plan many years ago. Toughest part of the whole thing was putting the survey together, because how you ask a question solicits a certain response potential, and you gotta be very careful, so that was difficult in itself, but I just don't feel like people with an agenda are gonna skew the results of the survey. And I think we have a committee that was established, and the planning board and the select board, and I think it's probably less disruptive to have the process worked out with it. Do the survey if you want, I just wouldn't put much weight on it.
Okay, well, I mean, it would be a significant amount of work to do it, so if we don't think it's valuable, then,
I just think it can be very easily manipulated. It's sort of like when you read Facebook the last time around on this. You know, everybody in town hated it, but yet there was some support for it. Now you gotta sort out what's real and what's not.
So would you be in favor of the working group, you know, evaluating it, making a recommendation to the select board, and then just deciding, or do you think we should have another public meeting to get people's input? We're running out of time.
I think the intent was to have the committee come up with a recommendation.
Yeah.
To the select board, and then town meeting ultimately has their say again, so.
Yeah, so you weren't envisioning another public meeting. I mean, there would be the public hearing with the planning board, but it's questionable to me whether they will champion the location that we pick. just because of the dynamics of it.
The focus of their public hearing really ought to be, and needs to be, what is proposed.
Right.
It really is not about was this the right location. They have to review what's in front of them.
Mhm.
You don't think they're gonna endorse what the committee comes up with?
I don't know, some comments were made at the, planning board meetings past week that trouble me, so. All right, well, I just wanted to kind of float that idea. Any feedback or takeaways from the meeting? I mean, one thing that I was kind of surprised at was, and in a way glad. And there were obviously people there that hadn't been participating the first time around and had really limited understanding of the whole thing. I think because they were butters, now they're interested, and so, it's an opportunity to engage more people on it. So, do you have anything you noticed?
I thought the meeting was great. I appreciated the presentation and how you kind of walked everybody through. The process that you all followed, which was very sensible and pragmatic, and how you narrowed things down, so I thought it was an excellent presentation, and so, yeah, I'm not really sure with the three options where I'm decided yet, and they're all so different.
Yeah.
I don't know if I fully understand the implications of each option, but getting there. But yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah, guy. I tip my hat to you because I think you did a great job. You always keep people calm and focused. Yeah, did a real good job of that. I think we could see again, that's a preview of what town meeting will be. And I think there's an obligation by hopefully the planning board and the select board this time, when people throw out disinformation or get off track or derail, to address it at the meeting. That didn't happen last time.
Yeah.
And that was why. I mean, it was gonna fail anyways, but it didn't stand a chance based on how the meeting was just like, oh.
So, I mean, this is a question in terms of, town meeting. If somebody makes a comment, are we gonna rebut every comment? I mean.
I don't know if
moderate-
it's not a comment, if it's a legitimate comment.
No, but if it's false
If
information.
it's false information, I think, if you don't, I think. it's
No, I
gonna fail.
understand the need to do that, but I'm just wondering, the procedures in town meeting, is Casey gonna acknowledge one of us when somebody else is still waiting in line to talk? Is she gonna allow us to?
Some people listen, go back through and say,
Yeah, okay.
guy,
I think that's a good way to do it, rather than a back and forth,
continually, like, pop
to
up? Yeah.
keep a list and then to,
Yeah.
yeah.
like to clarify the following 5 points.
I think that's
You
the
see
way
it
to
different.
do it, yeah.
And again, another thing at the meeting. The one guy gets up, he doesn't care what it costs. Well, okay, we have taxpayers in town who's sensitive to the taxes. I think we have to have really good numbers, last time we used 600,000, I don't know, per year.
Yeah.
And I think the example of Marblehead that was in the packet.
Yeah.
They lost one grant for a couple of million, but it impacted another grant for multiple millions.
Yeah.
And it's real, it's gonna hit them, and we can dance around with the state forever, but at a certain point. It's gonna have significant financial consequences to any community who chooses not to play nice with the state. And I think that points, we would not have the bridge potentially today, or so many other things,
Now, potentially, I mean, absolutely.
No, the timing wise, we caught
Right.
the jump.
Correct,
If
but
we
yeah,
had funded it now, good luck going forward.
Correct,
He's not gonna get it.
yeah,
There was one at the meeting in the spring that was funded, and I said, this is an example of one that would
Oh,
be
yeah.
in non-compliance, if somebody, the clown in the back wheel, no, not true. It is true, we wouldn't have got that grant if we're in non-compliance, it said right on the bottom.
that's right, yeah.
So, I think we have to have very concrete examples at the time. I don't think the tone of the tenor of meeting is significantly different, regardless of the parcels,
Yeah,
unless it gets controlled.
okay.
Is that something the attorneys can handle at town meeting, like, as part of the presentation about it, if the attorney get up and talk to everybody and say, this is what
The
this address is and the implications.
Potentially, I mean, I typically, town council has not historically had like a presentation role, they're really there as. And they're there actually to advise the moderator,
Yeah.
but we can definitely. present that stuff really.
I think it
clearly.
comes better from one of us in town council, people are gonna say, no.
Yeah, and you know, Chris, you're exactly right about not just the dollar impact, but the specific projects, and. You know, we did put that information out, but we can definitely do it in a more compelling way.
I'll make a presentation on it, I don't have a problem.
Yeah,
I think that has to get stated.
Yeah,
And if you vote it down, this is real, and this
Yeah.
is not, you know, everybody thought they could dance around the issue, and it's over, you can't.
right, and, you know, hopefully the point I made, I think we need to continue to crystallize this, it's not just the money. This litigation is, the basis of that is civil rights, assertions of violating civil rights, and that's a serious, serious issue. Where you can face sanctions and penalties, and, you know, that's not something that any town wants. To be on the wrong side of those issues.
All right, so how about if, you know, the working group is gonna get the results of the HLC review, if they attend whatever next meeting we have, and then just publicize it heavily so that people can attend if they want, or Zoom in terms of the public. Does that make sense, rather than a survey?
That's, you're gonna say the state has told us which one we can do?
Following that, they'll get back to the working group, and then the working group will make, you know.
Will that be the meeting where the select board votes?
Well, yeah, I think the working group will have their own meeting, come up with a recommendation, send it to the select board, and then at the next meeting, you know, if we. Have them come in or just discuss it and vote, but,
Okay, again, time is getting compressed.
well, I know, but I'm really sensitive to engaging the public in this process, but. You know, do you feel like we've done that enough already, or?
I think it's a good start, I agree with you, you have to keep them engaged.
All right, well, the next step is the working group making a recommendation, so I think we don't have to decide anything tonight.
Yeah, it all comes down to the state, you know, until we get that response, we're kind of. Dead in the water.
Yeah.
But as soon as we do, it's gotta move really quickly
Yeah, I
because,
think the working group would meet right away and then get
Yeah.
on the next select board agenda.
yeah, and then the board would be in a position to formally refer a proposal to the planning board for.
Yeah.
Not to discuss it tonight, but let's assume that I think we all ought to be thinking, let's assume the state endorses all three. I think we have to be prepared to have a rationale for which one we endorse individually.
Yeah, I think that makes sense then, no matter what happens.
And I would hope that they wouldn't have gone forward unless they were legitimate.
Mhm.
I think they are, so.
Okay, Ross, did you have something?
No,
Okay,
I think, what do you, the MVP grant that we're looking at, right, or we're hoping to get right now, is that?
yeah, that would be,
Yeah,
Definitely.
Integral example.
Yeah.
So what happens, suppose we get the MVP grant. The MBTA fails, they're gonna pull that grant back?
Well, that's,
already awarded, I think.
yeah, no, because I asked that specific question on the grant that we got for the Page Telecom, because it has that letter. And I asked them, you know, if we accept a grant and then we fall out of compliance after December 31st, will you call the money back? And they said in that instance, they would not do that. That was 4 or 5 months ago, and I would ask the same question with the MVP grant and see if we get the same
So
answer.
the AG is, I mean, they're taking a real hard line, but he.
They are, and I have heard through the grapevine that they are now putting in language into the actual award contracts. That they would claw back some money, so that's something that, we'd have to look at that closely with MVP grant. And, be prepared for the eventuality if we accept a grant. And then fall out of compliance.
After you start to work. That'd be even more fun, award a contract for it, and have it clawed back.
Oh my goodness.
So. Chris, are you opposed to at least just looking into what a survey would cost, or like how?
No, I'm saying, go ahead and do it, it's up to you, I would not,
With the results.
I don't oppose you doing it.
Well, that would be up to us.
Yeah, okay, it'd be nice to have the option,
Yeah,
just in case, the results are. Skewed based off of the sexual interest and.
Yeah.
They don't want poison as well.
right.
And that is a downside of doing surveys, non-binding. And, that could create a public opinion issue if the survey goes one way and the board feels, a different outcome is better.
Mhm.
Then it's, that's just one more perception issue that could be unhelpful.
Yeah.
That's the problem, I guess, is we're supposed to vote it, but if I got 80% of the residents saying they want this parcel, and I don't agree with it. It makes for a pretty sticky mess, and then it will fail at town meeting, because you didn't listen to us.
All right. Let's see, what's next? Whittier Tech Building Rep. I don't know what to say about this.
I do. I talked to Brad Dorr, had a great conversation. He would love to do it, the problem is. His firm entertained it last time, and they would entertain it going ahead, so he doesn't want any conflict. So he would not be interested. He suggested another gentleman in town who I've known of before. He, I guess, assisted on giving him some information on Page School project. He's in construction with a large firm in Boston. I spoke to him, and his firm would probably be bidding on the project on the construction side, not the architectural side. And he didn't wanna, even though he probably would be on the project, didn't wanna create a conflict, so I appreciate that. So I'm gonna say, my thought, my suggestion, why don't we ask Kevin Vogt, he's currently on the
I
committee,
have the same thought.
and he's got a good bit of knowledge in the tech educational component, and he's also the rep there. And he's pretty engaged, so. That would be my thought for the next person to go to.
So one thing I was asking you about earlier today. Like in the package, the 14 designated positions are they intending to get a rep from every community and then only pick some of them to fill that roster?
No,
Or you-
they said, I asked her straight out, we give you our choice for rep. She said the Whittier School Committee has to approve it. I said, will they approve it? She said, yes, she assumes that they will. Now, most of those slots are done, I don't have the list right in front of me. Most of those would get, those are administrative, a lot of them,
Yeah,
right? Local chief executive, administrative manager, school committee member, oh, there you go, you got it right there. Superintendent of schools, local building, school principal, member knowledgeable in educational mission function. So yeah, you can plug most people into some of these others, member of the community with architecture, engineering. Local budget official, so a lot of those are already beyond the committee.
Wendy, I know I sent you a quick note a week or so ago with we have a couple of either current or retired town planners who live in town. I don't know if you felt either of them might be
oh, yeah. I forgot about
interested
that,
or.
actually. Yeah,
I have no, you know, I'm.
I mean, why were we focusing on an architect or an engineer? Was that direction from Whittier? Or was
Yeah,
that just
yeah,
something-
yeah. It's just a logical
Put somebody
starting
on
point.
there, somebody's got
Yeah,
the ability to help the committee.
yeah.
It might be wise to maybe look into a lawyer or somebody with some expertise on some of their stuff. We might have a lot of people that know what they're doing with the construction and the architect, but someone who can advocate for West Newbury and make sure that we're paying their portion or that things aren't egregious or if things have to get amended down the line. Chapter 70,
I
all
thought
that
Kevin's
stuff.
not shy about advocating.
What do you think about that, Angus?
If he's willing to do it, if he has the time, you know, he's certainly, you know, he's very engaged and I'm sure has learned a lot in his first few months on the Whittier School Committee.
Maybe he's learned enough, he doesn't want to be in another committee. I can give him a call if you
All
want.
right, that'd be great.
Task. Well, we're on video. They had the chart with the admissions data.
Yeah,
Did anybody look at that?
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
I wish somebody could put this together on a bar graph, but you start looking at the years, 23, 24, West Newbury, 12 applicants, 4 accepted. 24, 25, 7 applicants, 2 accepted. 25, 26, 7 applicants, 5 accepted. We're right around 25% versus the other communities. They get much. Somebody should go through this and calculate all percentage to put in a bar graph and see. And we have the smallest community. It doesn't mean your percentage should be that reduced. So it's, we have kids who want to go there, who aren't getting the opportunity. More so than a lot of communities, let's put it that way.
yeah.
Georgetown 18. Applied 17 accepted. Next year 20 applied, 18 accepted. 29 applied, 22 accepted, so their rate's exceptionally high. If it's a random lottery, how we. Numbers don't show it's random.
Oh, yeah,
Found that the most problematic thing in the whole packet.
so you're still not getting invitations to these meetings?
No, I wasn't even gonna go for the next one, I'm done. 5 times, Angus says it in the meeting to the guy,
They're coming to the select board email address.
and I come into mine, he's been giving it
I
5 times,
sent him a note today.
I'm done.
Yeah, I think I blind copied both of you. I blind copied the select board.
Oh, okay.
And I
Yeah,
blind
I'm
copied.
thinking, I wish I had something to know, cause I'm done, I
Yeah.
mean, if they don't care to. I don't know what the issue is, but good enough.
All right, so you're gonna ask Kevin?
Yep.
Great.
So the next, 2 weeks from tonight is really gonna be your last chance to meet the September, the Labor Day deadline they've asked for a nomination by.
So do we have a plan B? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I put there's a couple of people out there, I don't know either of them well, but just because of they're in that profession, that's, you have, most town planners are pretty knowledgeable on a range of things, and,
What?
What?
I wonder who they are.
so Kate Day
Yeah.
and, Valerie Gingrich
Yeah.
is currently the town planner, in Middleton.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know her well at all. She's part of the library working group. She's certainly contributed in a positive way to that, but that was my first introduction to her. Kate, I've known off and on over the years, not well at all. We've had a couple of conversations, but she's always struck me as a, very intelligent person. She's lived in town a long time, so.
do you wanna contact them as well, or wait and see how you make out with Kevin?
Kevin,
All right,
there's a no, I'll touch back and see what we got.
okay,
That makes
all right,
sense.
good. Next item is, fall town meeting articles.
Before I forget, there was, some suggestion last night. We had a finance committee meeting last night, and it turns out, 2 of the FinCom members are not gonna be available for November 3rd, so I don't know if, that's something that may, we may wanna rethink that date.
I also have my city council election on the 3rd,
Oh,
which I wasn't thinking of, so.
so we might wanna rethink that date, and what we told the FinCom last night is nothing etched in stone. I think changing the warrant closing date would be problematic at this point, but I think even though we put it out with emails, it's not like, it's by no means set in stone, so, I don't know if we need. Go
So
forward with
what
that.
about, the Tuesday of the week before, that would be, is that what we said, October 29th? We
Yeah,
floated that
yeah.
last night, and everybody else can come, yeah,
And that,
I thought that was 28th, Monday or Tuesday?
so it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
What about Monday the 2nd?
I think Sunday's the second.
Oh, we're just
Yeah,
the
Monday's
3rd. Oh,
Is that the day of your city council election?
Monday's the
27?
The seventh is the Sunday, yeah.
Not my town, it was over.
That's Monday. You also,
Grafton,
Monday, Tuesday,
is
Thursday.
that right, it's all okay,
Yeah.
we can't do the 20th, that's too early, the 4th.
So, 2 of the FinCom members are out of town, I mean, we don't have to not have it because they're not there, but.
Right.
I was seeing if that was possible.
They gone the whole week.
Yeah.
What other choices do you have, the 10th? They're too late, I don't know if the calendar allows them.
It's not too late, I think it gets
Yeah.
pushing in terms of attendance.
And also if the MBTA doesn't leave us much time to have a follow-up if we needed it.
Well, I think if it failed on the 3rd, we'd be into the new calendar year.
Oh,
Yeah, I think between the 65-day hearing, but I mean, my feeling is if it came to that. I have to assume if by January first, the board set a date for a new town meeting and it's again, it's like the second or third week of January. I don't think the attorney general's gonna like sue you if you're active.
Bigger issues to deal with.
Yeah,
All right, so the most important thing is the select board to be there, I would assume. Followed by the town clerk, followed by FinCom.
I think that's fair.
Okay, all right.
They've already made their recommendation as a whole, they're released. from
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So,
All right, so should we just stick with, oh, you can't make.
no, I was wrong,
Oh, you were,
it's the fourth.
okay, so just stick with the third? Oh, all right, I just told him I'd ask, so,
I think it gets pretty sticky.
yeah, it does, then, yeah. All right, so in terms of warrant articles, this is just kind of a heads up of what Angus knows at this point.
Yeah, all very draft. So last night we walked through each of these, but the FinCom obviously doesn't have the same, they're not meeting all the time, so we want. So you guys have a lot more familiarity with these, so I would suggest maybe ask me if you have questions rather than just going through each one.
Yeah, easement.
So we got, is the question, what's that about? Or what? So, so the town hall, or I'm sorry, the housing authority property is a landlocked parcel, which is very rare. I mean, you never see property that is truly landlocked. There's no frontage whatsoever. So, I mean, I've known this for years, but it didn't really become kind of, I guess it came up in the context of the MBTA working group. And it was pointed out as like an odd situation, and there was a question as to would the state, when it's reviewing this as a potential MBTA location, find that that is problematic, that it has no legal frontage. And so it was suggested that an easement across this driveway to formalize the rights of the housing authority to pass and repass would presumably satisfy any concern the state would have, and I think it was Rob Phillips made the point, he's like, it's probably a good thing to do anyway, whether this is the MBTA site or not, it's kind of weird to have this parcel, so it seemed like a good thing to do just as a matter of policy. So I did reach out to Sharon Everett, our real estate counsel, and she said it would really be very simple. Her office could draw up that easement language, we would just need a survey plan that would show the bounds of the easement. I had a very preliminary conversation with Rich Williams. I didn't provide him any specifics, but I just said, hey, if we need a survey on this, do you have bandwidth? He said they could definitely do something if we wanted them to. So I was gonna reach out to him and give him more details and see if I could get like a price of what, I don't think it would be much work at all.
Couple thousand.
I would think so, yeah. So I think we could turn that around timely, not for the 21st, but before we really get into the thick of things with town meeting.
Cash transfer, we're looking in the same ballpark again.
So that's gonna be up to you, but yeah, my initial proposal would be based on, well, I don't wanna get ahead of that, cause I haven't met with Jenny on that, but I do wanna say one thing. I think Jenny and I will be working on a proposal that you guys can review and modify. But whatever we would normally propose, we're gonna add about 216,000 to.
Oh, boy.
So, the reason being, we cut the checks, they've been picked up. Met with Attorney Breeze today. So it's resolved as far as they're concerned. In terms of where the money comes from, I think you're all aware, it hits the town's free cash. The advice of council continues to be to not seek an appropriation, but instead to have it, to raise it on a recap. The problem with that is you're raising it on this year's tax rate. And so the only way to offset that would be to increase your free cash transfer to the same amount, and that would make this year's taxpayer whole. So
That makes sense.
that's a conversation we had earlier this week, with Attorney Blake.
Okay.
Well, the second page school will be disappearing.
Correct.
Invasive species, we do that every year now, pretty much, right? Didn't somebody talk about rolling it into the budget at one point?
We did roll it in with the seasonal land stewards. That's embedded in the conservation budget at this point, but the professional invasive species management is not. So I did receive a proposal, I sent it to Butch and Paul, and, we haven't had time to put our heads together on it, but we will next week, and then we'll have that in your packet for the 21st, either in the form that we received it, or we may tweak it, based on our recommendations, and then, you guys could review whether you want to support it, and if so, based on what scope and amount.
Town building energy audits, are we up for that?
So, back on June 12th, as you know, Energy Sustainability provided updates on both the decarbonization roadmap that was done, as well as the LED streetlights. The board gave clear direction on the LED streetlights. What the minutes show from June 12th was that the board agreed that with regard to potential energy audits, that it would be important to understand pricing. So the board, in my view, was non-committal on whether you would go forward with that, but it does show in the record that the next step was to be okay with how much would it cost. So the committee put together basically an outreach email to B2Q, but didn't send it because I felt like if that request was gonna come, it should come from staff. So they sent that to Caitlin. I told Caitlin, I'm comfortable with her contacting B2Q to invite pricing. Whether that is something you want to support, and if so, what funding amount is TBD. And I obviously subsequent to June 12th, we had the goal setting meeting, and it seems clear that that's probably not going to be a priority for the coming fiscal year. But I felt like getting some pricing is, there's no real downside in that. And so I asked Caitlin to set up a pretty brief Zoom meeting with B2Q, her, myself, and Brian, because if nothing else, I think the three of us will become more conversant on, I was telling Wendy earlier today, there's an energy audit and there's an energy audit. And like, I think Wendy knows the difference, and Rick certainly knew the difference. I don't really know the difference, and so I'm looking to learn a little more about that. And so whether it leads to something we actually go forward with or not, we're investing, a small amount of time just to kind of build staff's fluency on these issues. So it may or may not go further than that. That'll be up to the board.
Yeah, I just don't want to create the expectation that this is now a project and.
I know, but when the request was sent to Caitlin, I did go back to look at the minutes, and I said, yeah, it does say in there that the next step was to get pricing, so everything that's being done is, ostensibly under the board's direction.
Although at the next meeting, we said this is off the table for this year.
Yes, I don't remember voting anything on it, so,
No, it was just a discussion.
well.
So, yeah. All right. So if you're just getting educated, it doesn't need to be on the warrant, right?
It's gonna be up to you if it's on the warrant, so whether there's, I mean, I put it on because I think it's anticipated.
Okay.
And I did talk to Caitlin, and she did say it's her understanding the committee is intending to put an article request, so.
Okay, if we could just minimize staff time.
Yeah.
Something that we've already said. we're not
Yeah,
interested.
no, it's been honestly like a few minutes,
Okay.
like it's not something that is taking a significant amount of time.
Okay, any other questions on these so far?
There are two that I would add to this list. First of all, I think I alluded to this earlier, but just to make clear, this rescind authorized but unissued debt, you can cross that out.
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen. I think there is a very good chance that the water commission, when it meets on Tuesday, probably will initiate some kind of warrant article to pay from retained earnings, the overage for Church and Prospect. So that's one I would add. And then the other one that I almost forgot, but Jenny reminded me, is the transfer from, there was a proposed transfer from stabilization to school stabilization that had been on the spring warrant, but had been passed over. And I forget all the there were reasons why. But it was passed over. And so we wanted to put that back on, and also now that we have free cash certified, we might want to have other transfers of free cash into, for instance, capital stabilization or school stabilization. So there may be one or more proposed transfers from one account to another. So not expenditures, but transfers. So if we do have those ready for the 21st, we'll put together article request forms.
One other one I wanted to just ask about is we had talked about the capital planning process and, you know, transferring responsibility from the CIC to FinCom, and so I just met with them last night just to float the idea and see if they're in favor of it. And they seem it's a good idea.
Was
So-
that comment?
Yeah.
Okay. CAC might not be as
Yeah.
enthusiastic.
Right, so I'm just wondering, I mean, I'm inclined to go ahead, it is gonna be some work, but, so just wanna see where you guys, we had it on our immediate, timeframe for priorities. My thinking is if we do it now at fall town meeting, then that's before the next budget cycle start, they're supposed to start in November, so, but I just wanna get your feedback, cause it will be somewhat, burden on Angus as well as staff.
To eliminate CIC, the wording.
Not the wording, just the impact, I guess.
I think it's good thing to do. I mean, there's only, I noticed that there's 4 open seats as it is, so.
Yeah, there's only 2 people.
So, yeah. Seems like a good time to do it.
So, I mean, I started working on it before last night, and my thought is just to abolish the CIC bylaw, and then revise the FinCom bylaw to incorporate those new responsibilities. But I think even more important, there's a financial policy on capital planning. Really, I'm feeling like that's what should be the meat of it, and then the FinCom bylaw just reference that, and then that can be changed easily if we need to. But, so just looking for direction, if you wanna wait another cycle or try to tackle it now.
You're up for tackling that. I mean, so far, it's not gonna wait. Huge warrant.
Yeah. All right. Angus, do you wanna provide input on this? I mean, I'm interested.
Yeah, no, I think policy wise, it makes sense.
Okay.
You know, timing, I'm a little cautious about just anything that might
Detract from,
distract from
Yeah.
MBTA.
yeah,
Particularly, but I think coming up with a proposal and chewing on it and, you know, the board can decide if that's timing for the cycle.
okay,
Um,
all right, so we'll keep working on that. Let's see, so the next item is just preparation for the meeting next week. I asked Angus to forward these slides just to see if this is similar, you want similar content. for
we
next
had,
week?
we just briefly, this memo, this is, we
Oh, sorry.
we think this is kind of like this, but I just wanted to make sure this was accurate as to how you want to see it go out before we send it, because we had worked on this a while ago, but then we never actually like finalized, sent it out. Rebecca and I did tweak some of the times a little bit, because we didn't want to hem ourselves in too much. So does this look pretty good?
Yeah, do you guys have any thoughts? I had seen it before.
My question, I guess the first one's Monday, says select board receives initial meeting packet. That's bringing it back on you, gives us.
The goal is to get like an 80% packet, 85% packet late Monday, because we typically have all that content. It's the stuff at the end that causes the packets to go out late Tuesday. So the thought is if we pull everything back a day, that way you get like most things Monday, but knowing that there will be more the next day. So that gives you kind of allows you to space it out that extra day, and it all just hinges on.
I just didn't want to crunch you too much if you need the extra day.
No, I think it's good, because I mean, you see from the packet, a lot of it is stuff that doesn't, it's just stuff we're gathering. It's the stuff that, the analysis, that's the stuff that's always what I'm doing Tuesday night. I don't think that's probably gonna change. Although I think this week was really nice to be able to actually send the packet like within the workday was awesome. I mean, we would love to do that and not have it be this like, every Tuesday like marathon. So it all hinges on really having pulling back and being clear with department heads and committees or others who may be requesting agenda items that, you know, they really need to submit those by the prior Friday to allow the chair to work with my office to set the agenda.
Do either of you have any preferences on receiving an 80% packet and then additional material, or would you just rather receive the whole thing when it's done on Tuesday?
I can do it either way, but if you're gonna do the first packet and then the other one, gets messy with the numbering of the pages and things like that, so. I don't know how to deal with that, I guess.
I tend to wait till it's complete, just because that.
That's what I prefer too, I mean,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, it doesn't have to be Monday, I'd rather wait till Tuesday to get it complete if it makes it easier for you and makes it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, you know, maybe we'll get to a time where it's actually totally complete Monday, that would be terrific.
Yeah.
It's, you know, week to week, you know, people are out, people are sick, it's a Monday holiday, you know, there's so many variables, but I think it's in all of our interest to try to just, you know, give a little more time, because we don't wanna, you know, you guys are juggling things, we don't want you to hit you with, you know, huge amount of content with it, effectively a day and a half to review it, that's tough.
is that all right, Ross?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. All right, now we're on the BCC chair meeting. So any feedback on it? Do you want to have Agus pull that up on the screen, just to the slide we used last time? Or do you have it in your packet to look at?
Not packet.
What?
Right, sorry.
Separately, yeah, so it's up here. I mean, this was the first one we've done, so there's a lot of background stuff about you know, required work, and I'm happy to go with something and figure it out, but just if you have any input on stuff that you think is important to be in there. I figure a slide on the liaisons. Do you think we need this to say who the lead staff for each committee is?
I think it's good in there.
Okay,
Can I make one comment?
sure.
I've been going through the existing board committee and commissions handbook, completely overhauling it for your approval.
Yeah,
It will be a much more robust document, and I think when that's complete, it'd be a great time to have another one of these kind of meetings, because we'll really establish like the roles. It talks a lot about like chair, the vice chair, and then the treasurer and the duties done. Things of that nature.
yeah,
So. I know you guys already have this scheduled, and it will be great, but I think, again, once we have that complete document, we really wanna. Me and Max have been putting together folders for appointees that have all the information, trying to streamline the board and committee process, and I think at that point would be a really good time to get them
so
together.
are you thinking just the chairs or the whole committee? Would that mean?
Well, that could be chairs and maybe more, I'm not sure, but there would be some changes
Yeah,
in the near future with that,
okay,
just something.
so maybe that's something to discuss at this meeting.
Yeah,
Let them
yeah.
know it's coming, yeah.
Will that address, will that touch on the whole staff support and kind of how requests are made for staff support? Because if so, that might be a good time, this might be good to punt
Yeah,
until that, because that's something that,
We can put something in there about that, that also might be something that in the. I'm not sure what's the sort of policy or rule, but we can have something in there about that, and also the handbook would outline. That the board is responsible for having someone to do their minutes, they're responsible for having someone do their agenda, I think there's a lot more support I've noticed. For the individual boards and committees than I'm used to, so getting them used to. Handling all of the duties that usually boards would do, so that staff could help out with some of the other things like,
yeah,
or you'd like.
what's that?
so maybe this slide may ends
Yeah.
up coming out, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good to put FY 25 accomplishments.
Definitely,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I did, if the other attachment in that email had completed projects, I'm assuming you had mentioned that, Chris, that you want to have projects that were completed.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay.
'Cause I don't think they understand.
Yeah. Do we want to have the triangle thing? I mean, I think that's really useful, but I don't know if it makes any impact to people. I mean, the idea there, what,
I'd take it or leave it. I like it. I came up with it years ago, and I like the visual presentation, but if it,
I don't know that people really appreciate. it.
no, I don't think they do.
Yeah, all right. Is it worth describing then what baseline functions of project?
Yeah, I think this slide is really
Okay,
important.
all right. And then, so then we just listed in the attachments I sent, I listed all the required or baseline functions by the 4 groups.
Yeah, I think,
There's
you
a
know,
separate one for that, I guess. But,
yeah, right, yeah, this one here.
yeah, so do we want to list that? I mean, I think it's important for people to see, but I don't know, we're not gonna read them, but just.
Now, maybe, you know, we might work on a couple of handouts or something.
That's what we did last time, is just include all of those tables as a separate handout. I think it might be good to distribute that before the meeting.
Mhm.
Last time we didn't, we waited and then it was kind of awkward, you know?
Well, they can't digest it in that time, so I was
Yeah.
looking at that, I think, gonna say the same thing, so
Yeah.
that'd be great.
Okay. Do we wanna talk about unplanned work? I mean, this goes back to the triangle, so I'm not sure this is kind of extra stuff. I think it'd be
It
good.
might be kind of beating people over the head
Yeah.
at this point, because I think they've probably heard it before.
Yeah, great. All right, so then we could just go into the timeframes.
Never hurt to beat them over the head, does it? No, wait a minute.
So one question I had, is when we did it last year, we included all the required projects in the timelines. We don't have it organized that way this year. The required projects don't have a time frame, so I'm inclined to not do the same thing, just list the optional ones that we think are immediate. You know. Which would be shorter tables.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if I had a kind of magic wand and what I'd love to do, and I just don't know if I can pull it off on the timing or if I even should try with everything else that's
Yeah.
on my plate, but effectively like a Gantt chart, because some of these things that are active, I mean, take a good example is the Page Pipe State Crossing, you know, that's like, that's been a pretty intensive focus and will continue to be, but it's gonna end. You know, and just to layer on these things that we're doing and, you know, with some kind of visual. Showing like what months things are already like. Time is already implicated for, and I think if there was a way to just convey that visually, and I know how I would do it, it would just take time to do it. But I think that would be an effective way to illustrate that these are the things that are already underway, and if we can get things done efficiently, like pickleball permitting. I mean, let's not fool ourselves, these extra meetings and the extra time, like that clearly takes away from other things we could be doing, so if we could just work together and do things efficiently. And get things off the list instead of belaboring them, that sure would help.
Yeah. And I think my intent or my approach for this is just listing these so that people know what our priorities are. I don't feel like we need to justify it anymore.
I think that's a fair point.
And then instead of the overarching issues, I would like to do, we identified our top 5, even though they're not like all this immediate time frame, but that's what I would have a slide with that, and I'm not remembering what they all are. I think comprehensive plan, water, page school, MBTA, and then there was one other one.
Yeah, that, what I'm looking for here is those minutes from the,
Oh, that's right.
yeah, that we were sure to capture those
Yeah.
in the goal setting minutes.
Yeah. Oh, regional collaboration was the fifth one.
These two.
So I would just have a slide with that. Just take input from people.
At the beginning somehow, I
Oh,
think
that's right.
I mentioned to you at one point, I think you have, because I've been on tons of boards and committees of town. And you live in a vacuum.
Mhm.
It is strange. You think you're there to do what you think is the right thing. I think these people are doing what they think is the right thing, but they have to understand that it's at direction or discretion, whichever you prefer, of the select board. They're to assist the select board to do the work for the town, not to go off and do their own thing, which a number of them do.
Mhm.
And it's, until you have it explained to you, it's hard to understand, it, and you have to sort of think about it like that. It's just, it's a strange thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think Chris makes a good point. I was thinking about including the slide.
Mhm.
No. It just touches upon the uniqueness of not having a charter and having a town manager just starting in 2018, but. Not in a rude way, but that a lot of these committees have had different powers or different charges for a long time. That is usually not how it is in most places, and things usually get done a little bit quicker because there aren't different committees that have a control over a building, and you have to go through this person and that person, so it's normally not like that in other places. Maybe get them accustomed to that, should
Yeah.
a charter come down the line in a couple of years, of 3 months, then.
So just lay the groundwork. And I think that ties in with Chris's point.
Exactly.
too. Yeah, okay. All right. So maybe that'll be in the beginning rather than the end.
Yeah, you can thank it too. We appreciate, I mean, I genuinely do appreciate everybody volunteers, but also they have to focus on the work that needs to get done, not what they think they want. It's gotta be part of the whole plan of the town.
Yeah,
And that's where it gets a little messy sometimes.
yeah, okay. That is an advisory board. What's that?
A slide, what is an advisory board?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, some of the, projects and initiatives that the board prioritizes, could be referred to a committee to run with, and I think this LED streetlights is a great example. There's been significant progress on that as recently as this week, and Chip is doing, it's terrific, he's doing all the work.
Checking in. with
Sending
you,
me
yeah.
periodic emails saying, hey, this is a decision point. If I have a question, I review it with Wendy, and they're all pretty straightforward. And I'm like, yeah, you're on the right track, keep going, and it's great, and it's like, we've made a lot of progress in just 2 months. Because there's very clear policy direction.
And we cut him loose at the time. He
Right.
didn't do it on his own. That was the
Correct.
best part. They brought the information. We said, we agree. Now
Yeah.
can you execute?
Right,
That's what he's
right.
doing.
Yeah,
That's how it should work.
Yeah.
Rather than on their own,
yeah,
and nobody knowing how they got to where they got to.
Okay, good, that's good feedback, so I'll work on drafting something.
Must be a time.
Okay, let's see, where are we? Correspondence. All right, National Opioid Settlement, so any questions on this?
Any downside to participating in any of these settlements?
I don't know. What do you think, Angus?
I haven't really had time to digest these new notices. I included them just because they came in, and just so as we do dig into it further, you're aware of kind of where it's coming from. I doubt it, but I don't know that.
I feel like we're sheep just following the herd. And hey, it's free money, go for it.
I don't
I
disagree.
feel squishy.
Same with the PFAS.
Same with PFAS,
Yeah, that's the next one.
Yeah,
That one irritates me a little more, because getting the money doesn't fix the darn thing with
right.
PFAS.
It's
That's,
just a token.
and, oh, it's a real token, yeah, I'm gonna kill you, but here's a couple of bucks. You don't have to put that in me.
And then the last item was just the memo from Carol Decker on mowing practices. She had wanted to make a presentation in the select board meeting, and I just felt like since we already decided that we were gonna empower Bush to make decisions, I didn't wanna take the time, but I wanted to include the information. It did also occur to me at reading this about the 45% agricultural commodities that are based on pollinators, so I suggested to her that once the ag committee is formed, that would be a mission or a, objective.
That's the same thing, I said, maybe a project for the ag committee.
Yeah,
It's a good place to start to help with the whole thing.
yeah, good.
My other question is, if I know Bush does this thing, but if there was some interest, what level of effort or change would be required by the DPW, right? I mean, maybe not mowing them as much might actually help them because there's less effort, you know, instead of mowing so many times, it's just once.
So what's happened in the past is that it's mowing at a certain time of year and the conditions in the field don't always coincide with that. And Butch was afraid that his equipment would get stuck, and so he mowed earlier than was desired, and it was, you know, an issue.
Okay, they also talk about sometimes mowing once, I mean,
Yeah, so, I mean, he is following some of the recommendations that they made.
again, maybe the ag committee would help at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's happening on private land, if they wanna convince them to do it, that's great. I mean, yeah, a farmer would have a benefit in, you know, it's increasing pollinator habitat, if their crops would get, you know, pollinated, so. Whereas the town, we're just trying to maintain, town stuff, so. Not trying to make money on that.
The more the wetlands, the later, and so.
All right, on that note,
No, wait, that's the truth. That's why I'm on mine. You're allowed to,
you're not allowed to mow your wetlands.
if it's always been maintained,
Oh,
that's what I've done, 32 years. Every winter out there, mow that puppy.
all right, on that note. I move that we recess to executive session for MGL chapter 3821 A2 36.
Second,
All in favor, read aye.
while
Everybody.
Right.
Okay, so the board will go into executive session and reconvene in open session for the sole purpose of adjournment. Good night.